All right. So here are a few questions that we are going to discuss today. I have just put it down in one single document. Okay, we can maybe start with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
ma'am.
right. So, like entire syllabus, what have you studied from the 5 units that you have?
Last time I have studied little.
Hmm.
So last time I have studied little on the legal method,
Okay.
and from the last few weeks, I'm listening to your videos
Hmm.
in YouTube.
Okay.
So that's all, madam.
Okay. Okay. So I guess you don't have like a holiday, right? Before your legal methods exam, 23rd, is it?
No holidays, madam.
Okay, okay, fine then. So see, we'll start with the class, and what you do is, because you don't have much time, right? Today is 18th, on 23rd you have exam. You don't have any holidays before exam also. So you pay attention to whatever we are discussing here. All right, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Just listen to this like a story. You will be able to remember the basic points, and then you will be able to frame your answer in exam, right? Because now you are not like in school, right? You are a college student, you can frame your answers yourself. So just that, you need to know the main
Okay.
thing, right? So you try to do that. Whatever we are
Okay.
discussing, try to understand the concept. In exam you will be able to write if you remember the main basic points. All right, so we will discuss
Okay,
that.
ma'am.
Yeah. So one question that you had mentioned is explain different steps in research. So what is research?
Research.
Yeah.
Research means doing some work on means researching, ma'am, about something. You want to know more about the features, what is there, the background.
Yeah, we want to know more about a certain thing, so we would do research, right? So research, if you see, it consists
Hmm.
of two words, right? Search means to look for something, right? To search something. Research,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
means again and again you keep on searching things, right? Take for
Yes,
example,
ma'am.
now when people were developing corona vaccine, right? What they were
Hmm.
doing, they were researching with the virus, right? What is
Yes.
curing it, what is not, what is working out, what is not working out. So like that, they are trying again and again, they are researching again and again. So that's nothing but research, which is not just applicable for your medical or engineering field, but it's also applicable for arts people, for legal students as well, right? If you want to know whether criminal justice system in India is working fine or not, maybe you can do a research on that area, right? So that will be a
Okay.
research. All right, so you can give one intro that research is what? Creative and systematic work undertaken to increase stock of knowledge. Maybe you already
Hmm.
have some little idea regarding criminal justice system in India, but you want to widen it, right? You want to increase the stock of knowledge that you are having. How you will do that?
Hmm.
In a creative and systematic way, right? You cannot just
Okay.
pick up a book and then start reading it, pick up a newspaper and start reading it. That's not how it works,
Mhm.
right? You need to first of
Okay.
all
Okay.
decide what you want to research on. Then you need to accordingly look for relevant books, articles. Then you can invest your time there, right? So it
Okay.
means it's
Yes,
a
sir.
creative and systematic work that you undertake. Why? Just in order to increase the stock of knowledge that you are having. And this applies in
Hmm.
any field, you name it, right? In any field, there would be research going on.
Hmm.
It increases collection, organization, and analysis of information to increase understanding of a topic or issue. Research is the
Hmm.
process of discovering new knowledge. You knew a little bit about criminal justice system in India, but while doing
Hmm.
research on the topic, you got to know more detailed, right? In a more detailed way regarding
Hmm.
the things that are not working fine with regard to Indian criminal justice system. So you can give one basic intro on what research is. All right.
Okay,
One
ma'am.
more thing I want to tell you is that there can be a question like explain different steps of research. or it may be framed that explain different steps of legal research. All right, whatever the thing is, it's the same. Okay, if they are asking about research,
Okay.
in your intro you write that research is this. If they are asking legal research, you write about legal research. What is legal research? Again, creative and systematic work undertaken by maybe a law student, law researcher, law teacher, professor, whoever it is. Why? In order to increase their legal knowledge, right? Accordingly, you would be able to frame the answer. So steps are going to be same whether it's research or legal research. You can accordingly give one intro and then move to steps in research. All right.
Okay, ma'am. Understood.
So in steps, again, you can mention that research is a process of systematic study where you cannot just simply pick a book and start reading it, right? You need to find relevant documents, plan the entire process, and then only you would be able to achieve the result that you want to gain. So researcher proceeds step by step to be able to get the best outcome, right? If I'm investing my 3 years of time in doing some research, I would want to get the best out of it, right? So I will have to plan it accordingly. Step by step, I will have to proceed, right? One fine day, I cannot just sit and start writing a conclusion, right? I need to go step by step. So, what can be the steps of research? If you are studying on a certain topic, how would you proceed?
Mm.
How would
Means
you proceed?
I have to go by step by step. First, we have to know the background. Is it true or false?
Hmm.
Facts.
Hmm.
So, and what is the problem, or what I can discover.
Hmm.
So all those things, ma'am.
Yeah, all those things only you will do. But how you will do? First of all, statement of facts. First step in research is to write a statement of facts. In this step, what happens is we gain complete understanding with regard to the matter, what is happening, and the specific topic concerned. Take, for example, you would study what is legal system in India. Then you would come specifically with regard to criminal justice system. What is criminal justice system? Who is dealing with criminal justice system? Those basic details you would get. All right, that is statement of facts. The broad area where your research falls, you would try to get some idea with regard to that. All right, that is the first step. So maybe you can simply remember the steps you will be able to write inside, right? So you can remember first the statement of facts. Whatever is the broad area, we would try to get some idea with regard to that. All right.
Statement of fact. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, statement of fact. Next is research problem. What is research problem? You will do study when you know there is a problem, right? Why people were investing so much time in discovering a corona vaccine? Obviously, because there was a problem, right? Similarly, for law also, you would take up a study only when you feel that there is a problem in it. Only when you feel that criminal justice system in India is not working fine, you will take up that study, right? You would try to figure out what is not working out, what went wrong, right? So that means second step is what? Research problem. That means you need one problem on which you would take up a study, and then, as you said, right, you would discover something, or you would maybe provide some suggestions, feedback. When can you do it? Only when there is a problem, right? So second step is research problem. What you do is you get an idea of the research problem the researcher wants to address. You get an idea that, okay, fine, criminal justice system in India is not working fine. It needs some attention. That is the second step when you identify the problem. Research problem will make it very clear why research is needed in that specific area, right? If everything is working fine, you don't need anything, right? It's already working fine. Maybe like polio vaccination that was working so fine that now we don't see many cases coming in, right? Zero polio this cases come in, right? So in such areas, you not invest your time to discover another vaccine. Why? Because whatever is there existing, that is working fine. But for Corona,
Mm.
we were not having any vaccination or anything. So people invested their time to discover a vaccine, right? So you would identify the research problem, and then you would decide that I would invest my time in fixing this problem, or maybe giving some suggestions with regard to this problem, right? So that is the second step which you have.
Mm.
Okay, so statement of facts, broad understanding you would get. Then research problem, you would identify that specific area where there's a problem and you want to address it. Thirdly, collecting information. So you cannot just decide the topic and then be sleeping, and in your dreams you would get some books or something. It's not going to happen, right? You need to
Yes,
invest
ma'am.
your time. You need to go to the library, find relevant books, right? Maybe you read
Mm.
some newspapers, some magazines. You need to invest your time in gathering the information, right? What is going
Mm.
on with regard to criminal justice system in India? You need to gather some
Mm.
information. Maybe you can go to a library, collect some books. Maybe you can visit a court. Maybe you can talk to some advocates. You can talk from judges, right? There are
Mm.
multiple ways by which you would gather the information. So accordingly, you would
Mm.
do all of that, and you would collect whatever information is needed for your study, right?
Mm. Yes, ma'am.
So once you collect all the information, you need to analyze the information that is collected, right? You
Mm.
cannot just simply collect everything and then keep it somewhere in a corner. You need to study those information. You need to analyze. You need to
Mm.
basically take out whatever is relevant from that part, right? So that's the fourth
Mm.
step. When you would do all of that, you would organize it. Maybe you would write, or you would prepare a, like a draft of your work in this particular
Mm.
step, fourth step. And then fifth step is conclusion and suggestion, where what you do is, it is the outcome,
Mm.
right? You thought that criminal justice system in India is not working fine. Maybe you can give
Mm.
a conclusion ki yes, it actually is not working fine. Why so? You can
Mm.
give some suggestions also. That maybe
Mm.
there are too many vacancies with regard to appointment of judges and all. Maybe their appointment
Mm.
should be on time. Then
Mm.
it should not, the judges or advocates should not delay the matter for a very long time. It should be decided
Mm.
very quickly. All those steps you can provide, right? Those are what your conclusion and suggestion. You finally conclude the study that yes, criminal justice system in India is not working that great, and these are the suggestions by which we can try to fix this issue, right? So these are the five
Mm.
different steps which we have. First of all, you would
Mm.
take a broad understanding on the topic. Take, for example, if you
Mm.
are studying legal methods, how you would study that, that's also like a research only. First of all, you would take
Mm.
the syllabus, right? It is what? Statement of fact. You would take the syllabus
Mm.
of entire BA LLB course. Then you would
Mm.
study that, okay, fine, for first semester, I need to study these five different subjects, right? That is like research problem. You need to study legal methods. Then what you will do, you
Mm.
collect some information, right? Maybe you would go and watch some videos. Maybe you would download some materials and all that stuff. You would collect information. After that, you need to
Mm.
read those information yourself. You need to try to remember the important points, right? And finally, conclusion or suggestion. You would go to do the exam hall, you will write your exam, right? Whatever information
Mm.
you remember, you would write accordingly, and you would just end your semester, right? So accordingly you
Mm.
can remember, right? Statement of facts, research problem, collecting information, analyzing information, then conclusion and suggestion.
Mm.
All right, then you can give one conclusion that research plays a very vital role in every field of study. It's not just legal or medical or engineering. In every single field, research plays a very vital role. It may be
Mm.
helpful for students to learn some new concepts. If you are
Mm.
studying certain new topics, you can do some bit of research to get better understanding on the topic. Similarly,
Mm.
a teacher may do legal research to expand his or her knowledge on a certain topic. A working professional
Mm.
may also do research to get more information on the area of his or her work. right? Similarly, it may be helpful for everyone to get maximum benefit out of research. Proper planning plays a very major role, right? Only when you properly plan it, you would be able to get the best outcome from your research. It is important for every student to know the main steps involved in research, because today or tomorrow you also are going to be involved in some kind of legal research. If you know the steps, you would be able to do better, right? So accordingly, you can write it. So is it clear? Are you understanding it or finding it difficult?
No, no, no. I'm understanding, ma'am.
Understanding, right? Okay. So
Yes,
how
madam.
do you
No
like
problem.
prepare for your exam? Do you try to memorize or you try to frame the answers yourself in exam hall? Do you do it?
No, I just first I study
Hmm.
and first I study and I memorize and make a frame in my mind.
Hmm.
So this is, and I go to the exam, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So if you remember these 5 steps, all right, like these headings only, would you be able to frame the answer yourself?
Oh, 100%, madam. I will do it.
You will do it, right? Yeah. So because you don't have much time, right, you can focus on remembering these basic points because it's simple only, right? Research problem
Yes,
means
ma'am.
obviously you need a problem to work on it, and then you would accordingly decide, right? Accordingly, you can remember. Like if you are understanding in class, right, just remembering the basic points also would be enough for you, right? So any
Mm.
point you want to be repeated?
Yes, ma'am. Can you repeat one more time, ma'am?
Okay, which one? Or the entire?
Uh, this one, madam. The analysis information collected, no, ma'am.
Okay, analyzing information. Take for example, you are studying
Mm.
legal method, all right, and there
Mm.
you have doubt on a certain question, that there is a question, right? Steps involved in writing answer for exam, right? Steps to
Mm.
consider or something like that. There is a question. Take for example, you need to write one answer for that particular question, and for that what
Mm.
you did is you went to the library, you collected some books from there. Okay, you downloaded
Mm.
some PDFs from internet, right?
Mm.
And then you collected all the information. That means it is the third step. You collected the information. After that,
Mm.
in that book, there would be a lot of things written, right? In the
Mm.
PDF that you downloaded, there would be a lot of things written. You cannot simply
Mm.
copy paste everything, right? You need to go through the book. You need to take out those important parts, those important sentences which you are going to insert in your answer, right? That is what analyzing the information. Maybe you have
Mm.
collected 5 books, 3 PDFs. You read those books, you refer those PDFs, and then you would try to frame your answer, right? Maybe 2, 3 sentences you are taking from the book, one sentence you take
Mm.
from the PDF. Again, you take one more
Mm.
sentence from another book, right? So, what are you
Mm.
doing? You are analyzing the information, right? Whatever information
Mm.
you have, you are finding out what is relevant from there, what is not relevant from there, right? Accordingly, relevant parts you are taking, and you are finally framing the answer.
Mm. Madam, one more question. The
Yeah.
legal process, legal research, and the research is the same. Only where we have to change the word. That's all. For legal research and the only research. That's all, no, ma'am.
Yeah, it's almost same only, right? Because see, in legal research, you don't do anything different. See, this is the question that I framed for legal research. It almost
Mm.
same. Steps are same, all right? I have just changed the intro a little bit, maybe conclusion a
Mm.
little bit. And here also, if you
Mm.
are giving some example, right? I may change the example a little bit to make it look more like legal research, right? Otherwise, steps are
Mm.
same. In legal research also you would collect some books and all. In some other
Mm.
economics or some other research also you would do that only. All right, so usually
Mm.
like research is the same concept only. Here and there slight modifications may be there, right? Like if you are
Okay.
developing a corona vaccine, maybe you would go to the lab, sit hours there and then do your research. But if you are doing a legal research, maybe you would read books, maybe you will visit a court. Some here and there slight modifications would be there, but you need not bother yourself with all those things. These 5 are like the basic steps which you can go for. All right, because they have not specifically mentioned with regard to science research or
Mm.
something. These are the basic steps that are usually followed.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so if there is a question on legal research, I have changed the intro a little bit, all right, and conclusion. Maybe you can write that legal research is generally the process of finding an answer to a legal question or checking for a legal
Mm.
precedent that can be cited in a brief or at trial. That means when you are doing legal research, you would try to find out
Mm.
answer to a legal question, right? Maybe you want to know what
Mm.
is the punishment for murder, what is the punishment for kidnapping, where do we have provisions
Mm.
regarding murder and kidnapping mentioned. That will be a legal research,
Mm.
right? Then you
Mm.
read some judgments that in this particular judgment, what was held by court, how did the court decide the matter,
Mm.
what was the punishment given. All those would be legal research, right? Then
Mm.
there is the Black's Law Dictionary. It's basically a dictionary for law students. It defines legal terms, all
Mm.
right? So it defines what is
Okay.
legal research, the finding and assembling of authorities that bear on a question of law. Whatever question of law you have, you try to refer to different sources, collect information, and finally figure out one answer for your question. Right? So that is basically what
Mm.
legal research is. Then you can mention maybe that apart from law universities or institutions, there may be many different departments, including judiciary, that depend on legal research a lot. Various reports submitted by different law commissions of India is also a great example of doing legal research, which has helped in
Research.
bringing the law. Right? There is something called as
Mm.
a law commission. It's basically a body,
Law commission.
yeah, who is
Mm.
primarily involved in doing legal research, and they would give suggestions to central government, right? So what they will do,
Mm.
they also will do studies on different matters, right? They may say ki, the law relating to criminal justice system in India is not proper. Maybe we need to provide more severe kind of punishments to people who are committing crime, right? So like that also
Mm.
you can see, it's not like you need to limit yourself to this particular point. You can frame your own intro as well, right? You can maybe
Mm.
write that legal research is very helpful for a law student. Why? Because it will give him more clarity on the concepts. It may be helpful for a teacher as well to be more updated with what is going on recently, right? For a practicing advocate also it would be relevant so that he or she
Mm.
can get information regarding the case that he or she is fighting, right? Accordingly you can
Mm.
write in your own language also one introduction, right? Basic thing is when they are mentioning legal research, you need to focus on this legal thing more, right? If you are writing
Legal.
an intro, you write that okay fine, finding answer to a legal question, right? Basically you focus more on the legal part,
Mm.
right? If you are giving
Understood, ma'am.
example, yeah, if you are giving example also try to give some example related to law. Then steps are exactly same and conclusion is
Mm.
a little bit different, all right? Legal
Mm.
research plays a vital role in every field of law. Apart from practicing advocate, they all will also need legal research to find out cases similar to this matter. It is helpful for researchers. It may be helpful for a law firm, right? And similarly,
Mm.
with the help of legal research, teachers and students may develop their legal knowledge and understanding on certain different concepts, right? Accordingly, you can
Mm.
write the conclusion. Is it clear?
Is it clear, ma'am?
Okay, fine.
Okay, so we have this one topic on legal research. All right, so yeah, what is legal research? What are the objectives or types of legal research? That part we have. Okay, so that part we will be doing today. Yeah, so research we otherwise understand, right? That is nothing but searching again, right? Research, search again and again, maybe on the same topic, because you might think in a certain direction and I may think in a completely different direction. Another person will think in a completely different direction. So three of us will have our own opinions, our own understanding, our own conclusions. That's why it's very important that on a given topic, it's not that someone has done a research means we cannot continue on it. We can do research again and again. Okay, sometimes it may happen that maybe you have done a research on child rights, okay, or might be child labor in India. Maybe you did the research like very general. Overall, in India, what are the issues, problems, and things related to child labor? When you are talking about entire India, you don't have time to specifically look into details of every district or might be every state. So you have done one research on the same topic. Maybe I also did a research where I specifically focused on the state of Karnataka. There I was only focusing on what were the problems, issues in Karnataka. Another person may do a research wherein that person will focus specifically on a certain district in Karnataka. That means even the topic seems to be similar, findings will be different, right? The impact it will have, the importance it will have, that will definitely be different. So that is nothing but research, and that's why it's, like it makes sense to do research on the same topics again and again. Now, when we talk about research, it applies in every single field. Like if we have COVID vaccine, it's only because of research that the scientists were doing on that, right? So it is only because of research. In every single field, there will be some or the other type of research going on. And similarly, in law also, there will be research, which is nothing but legal research. So when we talk about types of research, it's not specifically limited to legal research. It's in general, okay? It might be some topic on sociology, some topic on maybe child development, some other topics also, these same types we have. Okay, so we will be looking at some of the different types of research. Now, these different types, we understood that there are different types of research, but based on what are we like classifying them in different types? Because ultimately we are doing the same thing. We are searching again and again. So based on what are these types given? Now, these are mainly based on how research is done. Okay, maybe I have enough of time in my life and I like going to different places, visiting people, talking to them. So I may prefer that I will go to this certain district of Karnataka. I will talk to the children there. I will take their interviews and I will do a research like that. In another case, for you, it's not possible that you would travel entire India to collect data because it will be time consuming for you. So you may prefer that, no, I will simply refer whatever data is already available from the government side. I will read different books. I will read different journals. And from those written materials, I will try to conclude my paper. That is also a research, right? In another case, maybe Manav might feel like, okay, fine, I'm not doing this writing and stuff. What I will do is I will go to the certain state. I will interview person, like a video interview I will take, or I will meet 2-3 children and I will ask them to share their experience. And based on that, I will conclude. So that also might be a research. That means how we are doing the research. Based on that, there can be different types of research. All right. So different ways that may be adopted by the researcher. Researcher is mainly free. Whatever he wants to do. Is he having enough time? Is he having enough of maybe enough money to spend on travels and stuff? Is he having the willingness to talk to people, interview them and stuff? Depending on a lot of factors, researcher will decide what are the different ways or what is the method or mode that he wants to apply to do the research. And based on that, we have all these different types as well. Okay.
Anybody can do the research on any subject, or there should be some specific qualification. Some usually doctors are doing research, no? They're studying and submitting the thesis and all. So they will get the doctorate on this one.
Yeah. Based on the thesis that they will write, they would get the doctorate. But it again depends on what kind of research it is. Okay, if it is maybe Law Commission of India, have you heard of it?
Yeah, I have heard, yes.
You have heard, right? So Law Commission of India is nothing but a body which is set up to do research on different legal issues, and they will give recommendations to government. That means it is a body which is set up by government. That means I am not entitled to do a research on behalf of Law Commission of India. Right? But maybe if Law Commission of India is asking people to provide their suggestions, feedback or something, then I can do some research and I can assist Law Commission of India. But,
yeah, but
as such,
I'm not authorized for that. Not just only like I can give suggestions or something like that. If I'm a lawyer, they can ask me the opinions and all like that.
Yeah, lawyers, sometimes they even ask opinions from police, like people who are running different NGOs, like who are working closely in those matters. Maybe if Law Commission of India is doing a research on acid attack, child labor, they will try to approach people who are closely associated with those matters because they will have the authentic information. Right, so there we might be entitled, and it's not like research is something like high level. Even students are doing research while writing their assignments, while submitting their dissertation and all that stuff. That is also nothing but at a smaller level research only. Maybe we are completing it within a day or maybe in 2 hours. That still is a research which we are doing.
Okay, depending on different level.
Yeah.
Because in the college and all, the teachers will approve or they will verify that one. But in higher level, like this Law Commission, like that higher authority, it will be like official authority to do the research.
Yeah, official authority. Sometimes even court may ask. Court may give direction to a certain body that you do a research and you give your suggestions to us. Based on that, we want to take action. It different areas like research is applicable everywhere. Okay, so yeah. Manav, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now what are the different types that we have? First one is descriptive versus analytical. So what is descriptive research? As the word itself suggests, it is to describe something. Right? Descriptive research to describe something. So descriptive research is a surveys and fact-finding investigation. It aims to describe the characteristics of a group or the state of affairs as it exists at present. Researcher has no control over the variables and researcher has to report the actual condition. For example, a researcher wants to study crime trends in Karnataka. He wants to study the rate of crimes committed by people of different age groups. That will be nothing but descriptive research, where researcher will simply try to put everything together. Okay, if he is studying that what are the different age groups, okay, for crimes committed by people in Karnataka, what are the age group? Which age group is committing highest crime? Which age group is committing lowest crime? That will be nothing but descriptive research. Whatever information or data is available, based on that, he will do the research. There are this government bodies, National Crime Records Bureau, who will publish reports every single year. Okay, that in the last year, how many crimes were committed in which all states, based on what all sections, like basically a report on different crimes committed in entire India. Okay, so that report may be taken for reference. The person may approach police stations in Karnataka and all that stuff. So he cannot control the things. Whatever is there, that is there. He needs to collect it and he needs to describe it, put it in one document, right? He will do the research. So he will try to do fact-finding investigation. He will try to figure out which age group is committing highest rate of crimes, which is committing lowest, who are committing mid-range, all that stuff he will do. That means he will try to describe a certain fact which already exists and he cannot change anything over there. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So why are we saying that he cannot control anything? He do not have control on the variables, because you might have seen there are some research done by psychologists and all that stuff. Okay, like I remember reading something in my 12th psychology paper. There, what they did basically, right? They wanted to understand whether work efficiency will be affected based on working condition or not. Okay, like if we are put in a better working condition, will we be able to work more efficiently? Or is it like however we are working, we will work in the same way or not? Okay, understood, right? What was the topic?
Yes.
Yes.
That was the topic on which they wanted to do research, that if we are put in a better working condition, might be with proper lighting, AC, proper air conditioning and all that stuff, will we work better or we will work in the same way? For that, what they do is they put like two working groups in two different rooms, and for one, they kept like proper arrangements, proper facilities. For the other one, power cut, this, that, all that problems would be there. That means they are controlling the variables, they are controlling the situations to try to analyze and finally come to a conclusion. So that is somewhere researcher is having control. Okay, so that is a different thing. But here, researcher as such is not controlling anything, right? He is not going to Karnataka and spreading awareness that please don't commit crimes, it's a bad thing or stuff. He is letting people do whatever they want. He is simply collecting the data and doing a research, fact-finding investigation. He is not bothered with what people of Karnataka are doing. Okay, let them do whatever they want. I am simply doing a fact-finding investigation. That is nothing but descriptive research. Now, analytical research. Analyze, we say, right? I want to analyze this situation. I analyzed this and I finally came to this conclusion. So analyze means to critically evaluate something based on information that is available with us and primarily concerned with testing hypotheses, specifying and interpreting relationship by analyzing facts and existing information. For example, explaining why and how crime rates spiked over time is an example of analytical research. In analytical research, what we are doing, yes, we are collecting the information. Maybe we went to the field visit, maybe we distributed questionnaires, surveys, interviews, or might be we collected books from the library. Does not matter what is the mode of information collection. But what did we do after collecting the information? After collecting the information, we tried to analyze it. We tried to compare it with something, or we tried to critically examine it and finally come to a conclusion. Okay, might be we saw that, okay, like cases like in Karnataka, what happened is crime rates spiked. Why? Because maybe people were not given punishment, criminals were able to escape the punishment, no liability, this, that, might be victim was not approaching the police station and all that stuff. Those are nothing but we got some conclusion from there. Okay, like there were people who used to say, if you remember, that because of this lockdown situation that happened last year, they said many people are losing their job, and mostly for daily wage earners, they are not in a position to earn anything basically, right? So those people might also not have any savings. So from police stations, commissioner of police and all, there used to be notifications circulated everywhere that be careful, there might be different crimes committed around and all that stuff. Have you come across those notifications or any news as such?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. In past.
You have seen?
No, I didn't have.
Okay. Manav, have you seen it?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
You have seen, yeah. So I also saw one notification, and I remember my sister, she was like learning driving, and she thought might be at night no one will be around because daytime they will have their work. So she thought that nighttime I will, like learn driving. So at around, I guess, 11 o'clock, they went out for this, right, to learn driving. And then there was like a police officer, he like stopped them and he said, are you not aware that there is this like nationwide lockdown going on and there might be different crimes committed, so don't come out at night because you are risking yourself. That means notifications were out everywhere on news also, those news were circulated, plus even people like police officers also were like spreading those awareness. So how come they like concluded that there will be like a increase in rate of crimes? It is because they analyzed the situation that there were a lot of people, lot of workers who migrated to their hometown. They will now have no source of income. So what will they do to like support their family? Might be they would end up committing some crime because they don't have any other option. Okay, so that is nothing but analytical research, that we try to analyze the situation, what might be the outcome, and finally we concluded something. In the same way, you might have seen like during this first wave of COVID-19, when the first nationwide lockdown was announced, that time also, like when it was announced, same night, there was like a huge crowd, right? Like a huge number of my workers who wanted to go to their like hometown. So it was like a huge crowd in the railway station, bus stop, and all that stuff. There also people said that now it is going to, like there will be further spread of COVID-19. So they should not have declared nationwide lockdown like that. They should have given proper timing to people so that if anyone wants to move to their hometown, they would get the time. So how did they conclude that it will further spread COVID-19? It was because of their critical evaluation. They witnessed the situation and they felt like, yes, it is going to spread because people are just gathering like anything. Okay, so that is nothing but analytical research. Even though they are not, like writing on paper something, maybe it's just a random conversation that they are having, might be a news that they are, like reading. Still, it is outcome of an analytical research only that they came to this conclusion. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So descriptive is basically like a simple thing, whatever information I'm getting, like a copy paste thing. Okay, analytical as in I need to analyze it, I need to apply my mind, I need to give sort of my own opinion. I cannot just copy paste whatever is available, but I need to give my own outcomes also. Maybe you can say that, okay, I am doing a research on Indian Contract Act. Then what may be your analysis? You might read the entire legislation and say these are the shortcomings in this legislation. These things should have been added. or these things should not have been there. There also you are doing an analytical study. You are trying to figure out the defects in a certain existing legislation, and you are giving your own opinion over there.
Okay.
So that's the first classification which we have. Second one being conceptual and empirical research. Okay, now conceptual research. It is understood again, right? It's like concept, right? So we want to clear some concept here. So it is conceptual research. Conceptual research is related to some abstract ideas or theories. It is generally used by philosophers and thinkers to develop new concepts or to interpret existing ones. For example, philosophers criticizing an existing theory or propounding their own theory. There will be different theories which are applicable. Okay, in law also we have so many different types of theories. Like take for example, we can say precedent. Precedent is also nothing but like a theory only, right? That whatever is previously decided, keep on following that. If someone is doing a research on that, okay, like what is precedent basically? What is obiter dictum? What is ratio decidendi? All those will be conceptual research because we are trying to understand some abstract theories or ideas. There are certain theories based on like different types of punishments, like why punishment is given. Based on that also we have different theories. Okay, like the retributive theory, reformative theory and all that. There we try to understand the idea or some theory. It is basically conceptual research. It's clear, right? Basically we want to understand a certain concept, or might be, or like philosopher is trying to develop a new concept itself. Okay, next one is empirical research. Empirical research is aimed at coming up with conclusions without due regard for system and theory. For example, whether conditions in a prison play a role in reforming a criminal or not. So what is empirical research? Like I said, maybe I have enough time to do a research on child labor. And what I did is I visited entire, like all the police stations in a serve. It might be Karnataka. Okay. Or I visited the jails in Karnataka because I wanted to figure out the conditions of inmates in prison. Are they treated properly? Are they getting the necessary rights or not? Are they getting the minimum requirements or not? For that, I visited all the prisons in Karnataka. That means I am not relying on any like philosophical concept or idea given by some philosopher, but I am simply focused on visiting the real places, talking to the people, giving them questionnaires, whatever. I want real information. I don't want to read books. I don't want to read some magazines, but rather I want to visit the place where that thing is happening and try to figure it out myself. How things are being done there. What is the actual condition of prisons in Karnataka? That will be nothing but empirical research. Okay. So empirical research is given like a lot more importance because the researcher is putting a lot of effort there. Okay, so the like researcher can say that, okay, I'm visiting this police station, that police station. That will be nothing but empirical research. Basically, you are like a field visit. Okay, wherever thing is happening, you are going there. Might be you are visiting some NGO, might be you are doing something. That is nothing but empirical research. Okay, like I remember doing some research in college that we had to submit some, like some 10-15 pages report. So for that, we went to this rehabilitation center for this alcohol, right? There will be rehabilitation centers. So I went there and I tried to understand how they are helping people get rid of alcohol, basically, right? What are the different modes, methods used by them? What are the counseling treatments given? So that is nothing but empirical research, because I am not referring the books or other stuff, but rather I am visiting a rehab center myself and trying to figure out the situation there, trying to figure out the treatment there. Okay, that will be nothing but empirical research. Same way, I remember visiting one like NGO, which is working for like people with HIV/AIDS, because their treatment is very expensive. Sometimes people might not be able to afford the treatment or medicines. So they are working on that, trying to make the treatment free of cost. Okay, and also they had like a child care home where children, right, who are also having HIV just because of their parents, they got it, they are kept there because their families might not be accepting that, them, might be their parents already died, other family members are not accepting them, or whatever be the reason, they are also keeping around 20-25 kids there. So they are having a child care home. That is nothing but empirical research, right? Because I was visiting the NGO, getting to know the things myself. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Next one is action research and fundamental research. Action research is carried out to find solution to solve problems faced by a society. For example, how crime rates can be brought down in a society. As the name itself suggests, it is to take an action. So what is the main purpose of doing this research? It is not to obtain a degree or not to do some research only for the purpose of submitting an assignment, but rather to take some action. For that, some research may be done. Like how crime rates can be brought down in the society. Whatever are the findings, those are in reality taking place. That is nothing but action research. Okay, maybe in a university. In a university, there might be like students who are not attending classes at all. And the entire like teaching staff is worried about that. Management is worried about that. So this management, teaching staff, they can do some research and they can try to figure out what is the problem or what steps may be taken. So might be they figured out that, okay, we need to make 75% attendance mandatory. Might be we need to make our classes more interesting. Might be we need to try to engage students in the classes. So those are not for the purpose of submitting somewhere, but rather to take action. So immediately the entire teaching staff, management, they will implement it in their university. Okay, that is nothing but action research. All right.
Judicial Commission, they are doing this is the same action research, no? Judicial commissions appointed by the court.
Judicial, yeah. So they will also be given some, like areas, they will do some research, give it outcome. Okay, so whenever it is to take some action, that will be action research. Okay, sometimes it may happen that, okay, you do the research, you give the recommendations to us, but we will decide whether to follow it or not. Okay, that sort of discretion might be there, but still it is action research. To take some action only, they are doing it. All right.
Because governments are appointing judicial commission on some matters, no? So
yes. Yes.
Okay, they will based on the government, they will accept or maybe they will do the.
They will
actions,
do the
whatever they recommended.
Yeah, whatever is given to them, they will accordingly do that research as well. Okay, like I remember going to a college the other day. What I saw is this entire campus, right? There were the signboards put up everywhere that using mobile phone is strictly prohibited inside the campus. Like literally everywhere, the signboards were there. So I asked one of those like professors there, like why like so many boards are there with the same thing. So they said that after this lockdown was relaxed, right, when college reopened, like initially it was like understood you should not be carrying your mobile phone to college, you should not be using it. So there were no posters anywhere. But when this lockdowns opened, they were like, everyone was like sitting like this, might be watching videos or might be like playing games with all kind of noise and everything. Okay, like everyone was literally like this. So there, all the teachers and everyone sat together and they discussed on the issue that this is not how the college campus should look like. So one day they brought all the students together, they gave like a nice dose that it's prohibited, you cannot use it. And after that, everywhere these boards were like inserted. Okay, and after that, the students also stopped using mobile phone. That means nothing but action research. They tried to figure out how to address this problem, and they accordingly did it as well. Okay. However, fundamental research is mainly gathering of knowledge or for knowledge's sake without any intention to apply it in practice. Before starting with practice, a law student may want to do some fundamental research on might be hierarchy of courts in India only for the purpose of knowledge. We can say like the assignments that you get from your university that you do a research on this certain topic. Did you get any assignments as such?
Yeah, not on like legal method.
Okay, but other topics or other subjects, do you remember any topic?
Yeah, like based on management.
Based on management, you were given some topics.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So when you are given such a topic, it will be to, like strengthen your fundamental knowledge because you have joined the course now. Okay, so someone might be given a topic on maybe this hierarchy of courts in India. Okay, someone might be given a topic on maybe the, like the process of criminal trial in India, how a civil suit is initiated. All those are nothing but like fundamental knowledge. Okay, that is nothing but fundamental research. Mainly, we want to develop or strengthen our own basic or fundamental knowledge over here. Okay, so this is nothing but fundamental research. Action research is we want to put it in action as well. Conceptual research and empirical research. Conceptual, some new theories or some new concepts they want to develop, or might be by criticizing the previous one, they want to develop a new concept. Empirical research, they, like want to conclude based on whatever they have observed. Okay, so whatever they have observed, they are not concerned with the theories or bookish knowledge, but they will visit the field, whatever they have observed, based on that they will conclude it. Descriptive and analytical. Descriptive, we simply want to like a copy paste, describe something. Analytical, once information is collected, by whatever mode, we want to analyze that information as well. Okay. Now, when you do a research, okay, might be like in college level, it's fine. Your research may be only fundamental research. But maybe if you are doing PhD or if you are doing LLM, for that you need to write a dissertation. There, your research may be combination of different types also. Okay, you may say my research is descriptive because I want to describe the basic things of this topic. Plus, it is empirical because I'm visiting few police stations, collecting some data. Plus, my research is also, maybe my research is also analytical because I want to read the related legal provisions and analyze them. So your research, even though it's just one research that you are doing, one paper that you are submitting, it's a combination of 3 types of research. Okay, so there is no restriction as such. These might be overlapping as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So there can be different types of research that may be adopted by the researcher depending on purpose of study. Why you are doing the study? Is it for the purpose of a degree? Is it for the purpose of your assignment submission? Is it for the purpose of taking some action? Based on your purpose of study, this mode also will be like accordingly decided. A student may be greatly benefited by having the basic knowledge on these different types of research so that you are in a position to explain properly that my research is falling under these different types. Right? So that is why, again, it is like a fundamental knowledge that we are gaining on research, that there can be all these different types of research as well. And you can accordingly decide under which category your research is falling.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Is it clear, Manav?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Ma'am, I have one question. Have you heard about Jangan now?
Jangan.
Like at the time of Republic or Independence Day, like there's a committee who do this program for the, I think, for population, like population count. So can we say it as a research?
Like what did they basically do? Can you tell me? Jangan, you said, right?
Janganana.
Janganana. So is it like census sort of?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, census.
We will say it's like collecting information. Okay, as such, it will be like they are preparing like a primary document. Okay, they are simply putting everything together. Yeah, you can say might be what you can say descriptive. It would work. It's like preparing some document. Okay, it's as such not research, because these kind of documents are anyways prepared. Like I said, National Crime Records Bureau, they will collect information from all the police stations across India, put everything together in a document, and that one we can refer like a primary source of information. Same way, if they are doing like Jan Ganana, that is like collecting information as a primary, like a primary document, and it can further be referred for the purpose of different research. Okay, you can say like it would fall again under like different modes of information collection, whether they visited people, a questionnaire, interviews, how did they collect the information. For those matters, yeah, it can be a part of research, but again, let's not like put it in these different types, because we have better examples. Okay, that will be like a primary source of document that you can refer for the purpose of a research rather. Okay. So primary, secondary, do you remember different sources?
Yeah, primary, secondary, and tertiary.
Right. So primary as in directly without any sort of modifications, alterations, pure source. So it would fall under that people can refer. All right. Yeah. So fine, then tomorrow again we will have a class at 5 o'clock then.
You have like 20 marks for your internal, right? What you were asked to do for that? Did you submit some assignment or something?
Yes, ma'am. I've done assignment on legal materials.
Legal materials, all right.
Legal materials and what is it? Something called arbiter dicta something. Arbiter.
Achha, arbiter dictum. Okay.
Dictum, arbiter dictum.
Yeah, so were you asked to give some reference or bibliography or something when you were doing the research?
No, ma'am.
No. All right. So how did you prepare that answer for your assignment? Did you refer some books, online materials? How did you do it?
No, only arbiter dicta I referred the internet, ma'am. But for the legal material, I just copied from the textbook.
From the textbook. Okay. Which textbook are you using?
No, they gave me some Xerox.
Okay.
Some notes they gave me from the college, so I just copied and given.
Okay, fine. So see, when you are doing a study, when you are writing one assignment, doing a research or something, you do not write everything from your own, right? You take help from someone else's work. Maybe it's a textbook from where you are taking help. Maybe it's some internet source that you are taking help, right? Basically, you take help from other different sources. All right. Now, all those people, right, author of that particular book or whoever has prepared that PDF online, those people have put their hard work in that particular work, right? That author might have sat for hours together to write that particular book. What you did is you simply had to copy paste the thing and you submitted your assignment, right? So what happens is you need to give credit to that particular person, all right? That yes, I have written this particular answer, but I have taken help from this other person. Okay, that means you are giving credit to that person. So those things are important for your research, all right? You need to give citations or you need to give footnotes. Have you come across that question? There is a question, right? Write a short note on footnote.
Footnotes, correct, ma'am.
Yeah, so footnote is nothing but giving like acknowledging somebody else's work, right? You basically acknowledge that yes, I have written this assignment, but I took help from this particular author of this textbook or this writer of this particular PDF or online material. All right, you basically do that. So with that only we have related concepts, citation and footnote. What is citation? We are going to see that. Okay. So there's, I think it was there in one of your previous question papers also, write a short note on modes of citation. How do you cite somebody else's work, right? So we will see that. Again, you can go for one introduction. As I told you, it's related to research or study on a certain topic, right? So in your intro, you can write about it. What is research or what is a study on a certain topic? You can write that. So you can say that research or a study on anything involves literature review. That means if you are preparing your answer, you cannot sit and start writing it. You would need some material to refer, right? You would need some Xerox copy, you would need some textbook, some online material, something you would need. That is called as literature review. That means literature is what? Some books or some materials which you are reviewing. That means if you have this one book, what are you doing? You are reading this particular book. You are going through it, seeing what is relevant for you and what not. Right? That is called as literature review. You are basically revisiting or reviewing a book or material which you have. Right? So you can mention that research or study on anything involves literature review. Here, a researcher mainly tries to read the existing documents or materials on the topic of study and get some idea on how to go about with the study. If suddenly from your college they would have told you, okay, fine, tomorrow you write something on obiter dictum and submit it. All right, you have not even heard this word obiter dictum ever in your life. You cannot simply write that. You would need to refer some books, some documents, then only you would be able to write. So that is called as literature review, where you try to read some existing documents, existing books or materials which someone has already prepared, and then you get some idea on what is obiter dictum all about, right? You get some idea and then you can proceed with your answer or assignment accordingly, right? However, copying someone else's work or taking references without giving due credit is considered to be unethical, right? That means it's morally incorrect that you simply copy paste someone else's work and then you produce it to be yours. You need to give due credit to the other person. That is what is about ethics of research, all right? Basically, it should be morally correct. Morally, you have an obligation to give due credit to that other person. If you do not do it, it is called as plagiarism. That means you are copying someone else's work without giving due credit. Okay, so citation is also related to that thing only, giving credit. What is citation? Citation is a process of giving credit to the original author of a study. You give credit that yes, this person, this author of this particular book had written this thing and I have taken reference from him or her. There are three common methods of referring to a source document in the text of an essay, thesis, or assignment. Whether you are writing an article, whether you are writing some assignment, or you are writing thesis of some PhD program, whatever it is, you have three main ways of citing someone else's work, right? You can take reference that this particular person has written this thing, right? You can give citation of that person. What are these three different ways or modes? We are going to see that. First one that we have is direct quotation from another source. What is quotation? Sometimes we see, right, motivation quotes, then study motivation quotes, this quote, that quote. What is quotation?
You're asking me, ma'am?
Yeah. What is quotation? You must have seen, right? Study motivation quotes, this quote, that quote.
Yeah, I have seen, madam. Quotation means some of the reviews what the person has said something about some particular thing, madam.
Yes. Right? One person has said something about a particular thing. Like Gandhiji said, right? Hate sin, not the sinner. So whatever that sentence is, we would get it within quotes. Right? That means whatever the person had said, exactly we are mentioning that. That is why it is within quotes always. So that is quotation. That means when you are writing an assignment, when you are writing a research paper or a thesis, you can quote someone else's work exactly as it is, right? Maybe you can write one entire paragraph. It may be one single sentence, one single word. It can be anything that you want to quote, but you would give it within quotation and you will also mention that as said by Mahatma Gandhi, this is the quotation. As said by this particular judge, this is the quotation, right? So quotation is the first way of citation. What you do in quotation is, as you said, whatever someone has already said on that particular thing, we simply put it as it is, right? That is quoting. So first one is direct quotation from another source. Maybe Mahatma Gandhi had written one book where he had said certain things. We are directly quoting from that book. Abdul Kalam had written something in his book. We are directly quoting it from there, right? So that is the first way, direct quotation from another source. We are simply copy pasting it within quotes, we are putting it. All right, that is the first way we can do it. That you would mostly see also if you are reading some articles and all, right, you will see that. Second is paraphrasing and summarizing. What is summarizing a thing or paraphrasing something?
Summarizing, madam, reading everything about their reviews or research, and we are just taking, or we are coming to conclusion. Maybe right or wrong, I don't know.
Yes, we basically try to sum up the thing, right? Maybe I have written 5 pages of something, you sum up that in 3 sentences maybe, right? Like some movies would run for like 2-3 hours. If you do not have, maybe someone will just tell you the story in 5 minutes, right? If there is some cricket or some matches going on, you don't have time to watch the entire match, maybe you can see the highlights. What is that? It's like summary of what how the match went, right? So that is how it is also paraphrasing and summarizing. What you do here is
summarizing.
Yeah, what you do here is take, for example, this is one book that is written by one author. It is having 50 pages. All right. What you do is basically summarize it. You say that in this particular book written by so and so author, the author highlighted that criminal justice system in India is not working fine only because of one reason. Why? That there is lack of appointment with regard to judges in court. Right? Number of judges are less as compared to how many cases are coming every day. That is the main reason. But to explain that reason, author has written 50 pages. Okay, you are summarizing it in 2 sentences. That is summarizing or paraphrasing, right? Maybe someone has written one entire book on Corona, how the situation went, all about 2020, 2021, everything. Someone doing a research in 2050 just saying that, okay, as per this particular author, the main reason of spread of corona is because of ignorance amongst people. Okay, so you are summarizing it only in one sentence, right? So that's what, that is nothing but you are citing this person's work and you are summarizing it in 1 or 2 sentences, right? And there is one more thing, paraphrasing. What is paraphrasing? Para is in like a paragraph. You are rephrasing it. Okay, maybe there is a provision that says, you know, like a very complicated provision. Okay, that this is how you need to fill form for LL.B course in KSLU. This is what is the fees. This is how you need to proceed. This, that. It's like very complicated. You try to simplify it. That means information is same only. Whatever is there in that document, you are writing the same thing, but in a more simpler way, in a more easy to understand way. So that is what, nothing but paraphrasing. Information is exactly the same. You are just paraphrasing it. You are rephrasing it to a more simpler version. Right?
Understood, ma'am.
Yeah. So these are the 2 different ways. Then third one is citing the whole of a document. You are citing the whole document as it is. Okay, take for example, you are doing a research on corona, all right, and then you said, okay, fine, this nationwide lockdown thing is a very good step taken by government, all that thing you are mentioning. There what you are doing, you are saying that under notification so and so, government had announced nationwide lockdown. Okay, that means you are citing that whole of the notification. You are mentioning the notification date, time, everything, so that anyone who is interested can refer that particular document. Right? That means what? You are citing the whole of a document. Or maybe you are simply saying that, okay, fine, KSLU is conducting semester examinations every 6 months. This, that in 2021, they announced the dates by this particular notification. You are giving notification, date and time. That means you are citing the whole document. Anyone who is interested can refer that document. Okay, so these are the 3 different ways of citing someone else's work in your research or in your document. Okay. Then you can give one conclusion that research involves a lot of effort from the part of researcher, and that is the reason it is very important that we give credit to whoever has written something and we have taken reference from any existing work. Thus, having knowledge on the ethics of research is vital for a researcher, right? We should know what we need to do, how we can give credit and all that stuff. Only then we would be able to follow those steps. Right? So this is with regard to write a short note on methods of citation. Is it clear?
Clear, ma'am.
Yeah. So you can simply remember the 3 different types which we have. You will be able to explain it yourself.
Okay, so yesterday we discussed these different types of research, right? Or legal research, we can say. That we had. Now another topic is there, which is nothing but objectives of legal research. Okay, so now, like as I told you, research is applicable in every single field that you talk about, and there will be some objectives. We will simply not take a topic, do research, but there will be some objective behind it while we are doing that research. So what are the objectives of legal research? when we talk about research in the legal field, what may be the main reasons why people take up a research, or how it may help a person, the researcher, how it may help the researcher. So that is what we need to understand here. So legal research, it's nothing but that branch of knowledge which deals with maybe principles of law and legal institutions. It is the study of relationship between world of law and the world that law purports to govern. It is what law is all about. What are the different legislations that we have? Not just in India, but in India, in other countries, what all laws do we have? How are laws in India different from that of other countries? That sort of research also might be there. Apart from that, we also want to know the world, right? Like, is it India? Is it one certain specific state? Is it a certain specific district where the law applies? That also we may try to study with the help of legal research. It is nothing but a systematic investigation of problems and matters concerned with law. Most of the times, like yesterday we discussed Law Commission of India. They are trying to find out, or they are trying to rather investigate on some problems that we are facing. Maybe acid attack is growing like anything, and we were not having a specific law relating to it. It was not considered as a separate crime. Like acid attack in itself was not a crime until few years back. So Law Commission of India realized the matter, they took up a study and they completed the study. That means investigation of problems. They wanted to find out what all are the problems that we have. Why is it that acid attack is increasing so much? It's because punishment is less. It is not even considered as a separate crime under IPC. It simply falls under the classification of causing hurt. Right? So accordingly, Law Commission of India did some research. And after a few years only, changes were made in IPC, and now it is considered as a separate crime. And punishment also is mentioned under IPC. Okay, so this is nothing but systematic investigation of problems. We want to find out what all are the problems that a certain legislation is having, or a certain area of law is having. Okay, so if you look at Indian Penal Code, there you may see. Okay, so these are different types of crimes that are being mentioned, and these have gone through so many different changes, right? All these additions that we see, these are nothing but changes. By way of amendment, these provisions were added. So these additions or amendments came only because we came to know that there are some things which are missing in IPC, and we need to make those changes by way of legal reform, by way of amendments and all that stuff. So it is systematic investigation of problems and matters concerned with law, such as codes, acts, constitution, etc., is legal research. Sometimes you may also take up a study on whether constitution can be amended or not. What is the history of amendment of constitution? That in itself is such a big topic. It's just one section, like one article that we have under Constitution, Article 368. That provides for amendment of constitution. When you look at it from the outside, it's very simple. One provision is there. It's already mentioned in constitution very properly, but then it has such a long history of different cases. So there again, we may have, we may take up a legal research. So it may be relating to some codes, acts, or constitution as well. So what is the difference between these three terms? What do you feel? Codes, acts, and statute.
And I think I don't know about the codes. Like I can say acts. We can say, I think when some bill is I think
Yeah, you were right.
when some bill is accepted by the president, it becomes
Sorry, when the bill becomes
signed by the president, it becomes act.
Yes. Correct. German, I think you were saying something.
Yeah, acts are the same like statutes. Acts means the same statutes, right? And codes are like criminal code or CPC, like that, some CRPC, that are the codes. And constitution is the primary material, like that is the supreme of all the laws.
Yes. So constitution is like the supreme of all the laws. After that, we have different legislations, acts, statutes, all that we have. And these procedural laws are usually named as codes, that code of civil procedure, code of criminal procedure, because it is like a collection of the all rules, regulations that will be followed in a civil process or in a criminal proceeding. So it is named as code. So yes, so it may be that we want to matters concerned with a law. We want to figure out what are the problems in maybe Indian Penal Code. Okay, so we want to find out what are the problems with that legislation also. So that can also be a research. It can be related to a legal doctrine also, institutions, legal philosophy, or comparative study of law. As such, no restriction. Researcher is free to take up any topic. It may be one like a theory we have, right? Like some doctrines we have. Maybe we can say different doctrines are there, right? Like polluter pays principle. We have something called as polluter pays principle, which is applicable in environmental law. That means whoever is polluting the environment, that person will pay to, like make it good. Okay, to like make the situation, like restore the situation. All right, so that is nothing but polluter pays principle. So on that doctrine also we can take up a research. It may be on some institutions. How is it that National Green Tribunal is functioning? How is it that maybe income tax appellate tribunal is functioning? It may be on legal philosophy, whether the concept of justice, equity, and good conscience should prevail or not. That is completely a philosophical study. Is it helping or is it creating confusion amongst people? That also can be one study. Or it may be comparative study of law, where we are trying to compare a certain provision that applies in India. Maybe similar provision is there in another country. We are just comparing it. Or maybe we are comparing, take for example, Consumer Protection Act, the previous legislation, we are comparing it with 2019 legislation. How is it different? To what extent is it different? That also might be a study that we can take up.
Ma'am,
yeah.
Excuse me. Ma'am, what does this doctrine means? I read many places, but I don't know the meaning.
Doctrine as such, it is like a, like something that applies, like a principle. You don't have thoughts as of now, right?
I have.
You have. Okay, see, for law, right, different subjects when you are studying, you will get some doctrines. These are nothing but like a, you can say like a theory, okay, which applies in law. I can give you one example, 1 second. See, like the doctrine of basic structure. Doctrine is nothing but similar to what we say as theory. Okay, like in maths, what happens? There is a theory, right? That how you will solve this kind of a problem, there is a theory for that. Same theory you need to apply in similar given situation, right? Similarly, in law also, there are some doctrines or there are some like theories, okay, which will apply in similar sort of situations. Like I can give you the example of the doctrine of basic structure, which is like the most like famous doctrine for Constitution of India. What is it? What is basic structure? Can you guess it from the name? Or have you
Basic
heard this one?
Constitution, I think Keshwananda Bharti case.
Yes, Keshwananda Bharti case, right. So what is that?
I think the basic structure like sovereign, secular, I think this is no.
Yes. So what about that? Like we know what is basic structure, but what after knowing, what is it all about?
Like means, ma'am, can you repeat?
Like where is this doctrine applicable basically?
Don't know.
It is applicable in case of amendments. That is why I said, right, amendment is having like a very big history. Lot of confusion, lot of like conflict between judiciary and executive. After that, judiciary came up with this doctrine of basic structure in Keshwananda Bharti case to settle down all these conflicts that were going on. All right, so this is a very important doctrine. This is like a theory. It mainly says, yes, Parliament is given the power to change the constitution. So Parliament can change any and every part of constitution. Whatever you want to do, you are free to do it. But that does not mean you will change the basic structure of the constitution itself. Okay, so basic structure of the constitution as in certain very basic things, like you said, sovereignty, providing for fundamental rights might be, then supremacy of constitution. Like that, there are list of things which are considered as basic structure of constitution. But then this list is not like exhaustive. It says list is open. Today we feel that these are basic structures. Tomorrow if somebody else wants to add anything, they can add it. Again, like additions can happen. All right, so this is nothing but a doctrine that Parliament is free to make any changes, but they cannot change the basic structure of constitution. That means it's like a theory. Every time Parliament wants to make a change, they need to apply this theory. They need to see, are we changing the basic structure or is it fine? Okay, same way, doctrine of harmonious construction. What is harmonious construction? It might happen that there is one legislation. In a legislation, there will be multiple sections, right? Sometimes it may happen one section is saying something, another section is saying something completely opposite. Which one do you follow? It's one legislation at the end of the day. Which one do you follow? Their judiciary will try to harmoniously construct these two principles, harmoniously balance these two principles so that both of these, like will prevail, and in a sort of diplomatic way, they will try to like balance it out. Those are nothing but doctrines, or you can say theories or principles which apply, and there are multiple such doctrines in law. In different subject you will see that. Okay, and these, like for different subjects, you will get different types of doctrines. Okay, you can simply remember nothing but like a theory only. It will apply in similar given situation. So it may be that that it is related to a legal doctrine. You want to study how concept of basic structure was developed, and once it was developed in Keshwananda Bharti, after that in which all decisions, new additions were made in this list of basic structures. That can be a research. All right, so legal philosophy, comparative study, and all that stuff. Now, objectives of legal research. what are the main objectives, what might be the main purposes for which people take up legal research. First of all, find out the lacuna. We know, right, that law is not static. Law will change with time so that it can address needs of the present day situation. So legal research will try to find out what all problems are there in this existing situation, in this existing legislation that we have. If you take the example of Consumer Protection Act, in the year 2019, Consumer Protection Act, like a lot of changes were made to this legislation. Previous act was repealed, a new legislation came into force, Consumer Protection Act 2019. Why? Because they identified that there were so many things which were missing in the previous legislation. These days, people are buying goods online. Like most of the people, most of their goods, they will purchase it online. Most of the services people will take online. So in such cases, they were not covered under the previous Consumer Protection Act. So new legislation says, even in case of electronic transaction, online transaction, that also will be included. They increase the jurisdiction of all these different forums. Certain other bodies were established. That means legal research will try to find out what all problems are there in an existing law or in an existing process, and they will try to address that. It plays a vital role in bringing amendments in existing legislations. When we already have a legislation in place, it really helps us to understand what all things are missing there. And based on that, we can make the necessary changes as well. Okay, so this is the first one that we try. Yeah.
Lacuna means lag, no?
Yeah, whatever is lacking in the legislation. In existing one, whatever is lacking, we want to address it. Like if e-commerce thing was missing, we want to add that. If something else was missing, we want to add that so that it serves its purpose.
Like, find out the gaps. Gaps means like gaps.
Yeah, find out the gaps and try to address.
I can use that word. I can, instead of this word, I can use like find out gaps in the existing legal system. Right?
Yeah, find out the gaps, address the gaps, whatever way you want to, right?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you wait for just 1 minute?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah.
This news is coming now.
This, yeah.
Now that picture came, this is the topic now in Kerala.
Oh, is it?
Recently happened opposite actually. The lady tried to put acid on the man's face.
Oh. Husband and wife, or what was it?
It was some love relation, and she put acid, but he herself also got injured.
Oh. That is actually very less, but yeah, it is there where men is targeted. Yes, 2013 amendment.
Yeah, ma'am. Please continue.
Yeah.
Thank you for.
Yeah. Yeah, so see, we have one provision under IPC, which is nothing but voluntarily causing grievous hurt, voluntarily causing hurt. Okay, so previously acid attack was included under that it is nothing but like causing hurt or grievous hurt to a person. But then it was realized that no, like we should have at least one, like IPC is such a, you know, like such a lengthy legislation. It is having 511 sections altogether. See, 511 sections altogether, defining different types of crimes that may be committed in India. And acid attack is such a, you know, like serious crime, which is becoming like, it is committed very often. So we should be having a provision relating to that. And that's the reason why in 2013, right, by way of this Amendment Act, Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, it was inserted by way of this two sections, 326A, 326B. This means nothing but they figured out that it is a problem that we have. Even like people are not much aware about it because we don't have this provision. So we need to insert this as a provision. Then some obligations were given to different government bodies are there, right? They may be given obligation that you even generate awareness amongst people relating to these matters and all those things. This is nothing but trying to fill this gap or the problems, trying to address the problems which is there in an existing legislation. That IPC is not enough in dealing with this, so we need to make some changes in IPC. Same thing happened with that Nirbhaya gang rape case of Delhi, right? After the incident happened, it was realized that IPC is lacking in a lot of different provisions, and so many changes were made after that. All right, after that, so many different changes were made. Plus, one major change was relating to Juvenile Justice Act. Are you aware what that change is all about?
For what?
Juvenile Justice Act, are you aware?
No, I just heard like, I think it's, no, I don't know. No, ma'am, I don't know about.
You don't know? Okay. So are you aware that you know, like the main culprit was a juvenile there in that case?
No.
You are not aware? How come? It was everywhere on news, right? He's working in some dhaba right now, all that stuff everywhere on news. So this legislation is there, which is Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. Okay, before that, I'll tell you one thing, okay? Otherwise, what happens? IPC is there, which is defining different type of crimes. That means if we are committing any crime, we will have to face the consequences. We will have to face the punishment that is provided. And for every single offense, IPC has mentioned punishment as well. Okay, like if you look at any provision, take for example, theft, punishment is also given that it may be up to 3 years of imprisonment or fine, or it may be some imprisonment plus fine. That means if we are committing a crime, we will have to face the consequences as well. We will have to face the punishment also. But in IPC, there is one provision called as general exceptions, which means fine, you may have committed a crime, but it may be an exception. Okay, it is not a normal situation. It was an exceptional situation wherein you committed the crime. And for exceptional situations, you can escape the liability completely or to some extent. Okay, so in those, have you heard before this one, general exceptions?
Yes, ma'am.
So in those, one very important provision that we have is relating to child. Okay, and IPC says any child below the age of 7 years, they are mentally not that much mature to understand or to differentiate between right and wrong. Okay, so they cannot be held liable for any crime. Act of child under 7 years of age. It says nothing is an offense which is done by a child under 7 years of age, because they do not have that mental ability to differentiate between right and wrong. Okay, similarly, there are other provisions, like what will happen if a child between 7 to 14, where is it? Yeah, 7 to 12 years commits a crime. What will happen if a child between 12 to 18 years commits a crime? Like that, we have all the provisions in law. Previously, what happened, right? Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act, it said if any child below the age of like 18 years, okay, within 18 years range, if someone has committed a crime, they cannot be tried like a normal adult person. They will not be given the punishment mentioned under IPC, but rather they will be tried under Juvenile Justice Board, which is like a lot more softer version of trial, where they will be sent in some rehabilitation center for maybe up to 3 years. They will be given all the facilities, vocational training and everything. Mainly because the person is a child, right? He has his entire life in front of him. So they do not want to send him to regular prison where he might mingle with other criminals. They want to send him to a rehab center so that the child can reform himself. That was the provision. But after Nirbhaya gang rape case, this matter was raised that most of the crimes where juveniles are there, they are within the age group of 16 to 18 years. Might be after 2 months, their 18th birthday was coming. Just because of that 2 months gap, they would escape this entire punishment completely. And 16 to 18 years, they are like already mature enough, right? They are not kids anymore. So they said that IPC is having like false in that part, and also this Juvenile Justice Act. So they made changes here. They said that if a child within the age group of 16 to 18 years commits a crime, we will straight away not try him under Juvenile Justice Act, but rather court will try to understand if that child was mature enough or not. If court figures out that, okay, he was mature, court will try him like a normal adult under IPC. If not, he will get the protection of Juvenile Justice Act. That was again nothing but addressing the problems which like existed previously. Okay, so this was like a major change, and this is a very good example that even you can write in your exams also. Juvenile Justice Act, if it's fine if even if you do not remember this part, Juvenile Justice Act, you can simply mention, okay? So we want to find out the problems. We want to address it as well. Next is discovery of new facts. With legal research, it may be beneficial in bringing laws. Okay, the fact that acid attacks should be categorized as a separate crime under IPC was also highlighted by legal research by Law Commission of India. That means it is discovery of new facts. Already relating to acid attack, we were not having any such provisions, but a new fact was addressed, right? Law Commission of India put that thing in front of the government, that you need to make this as a separate crime so that people will realize its seriousness and also greater punishment can be given. This is nothing but discovery of new facts. Consequences of new laws or judicial decision. This is a very common thing that you will see. Like if you like on YouTube or somewhere, if you search sometimes latest judgments, latest court decisions like that, you will see judicial, right? Latest judicial decisions are like a major topic. Okay, even if someone is appearing for exams like CLAT, not judiciary as such, yeah, CLAT and all, there also questions will be there based on latest or latest judicial decisions. Okay, so when we are studying a latest judicial decision, a decision that was given by court, might be few months back, in such a case, we try to understand its consequences as well. Okay, so because court said like this, what will happen? What will be the consequences? That also may be a legal research that people will do. Or is it clear, judicial decision part?
Yes, ma'am.
Or consequences of new laws. If a new law is introduced, what might be the consequences? Like you must have seen this farm bills that were in place, right?
Yes,
All the protests going on and everything. And at that point in time, everywhere you will see the consequences. What will happen if those farm bills were made applicable? Okay, so what will happen in that case? That is nothing but consequences of new law. What will happen if those new provisions were applicable? What will happen if that minimum support price was not given to farmers? All of those things were figured out by way of legal research again, right? So what is the present status of those farm acts?
I think the whole 3 farm bills were repealed by the government.
Was it already repealed?
No, I think they are repealed in this like winter session. No?
Yeah, in this session they have promised, right? They will, yeah, right. So this is again nothing but legal research, like whatever was going on in all those previous days, that is nothing but consequences of a new law. What will happen if this new law applies? Same way, relating to judicial decision also, same thing will happen. Okay, judicial decision, any latest decision you can think of? Maybe that, I guess one consumer protection.
Ma'am, can we say demonetization?
Monetization, it's not.
Yeah, GST.
It's, like monetization, demonetization was again like a, like a decision of government, not like a judicial decision as such. It was an executive decision, right? Judicial decision as in court that has taken a decision. Like you can say here, you can take the example of GST, but yeah, judicial decision as in, I guess one day I told you that example of consumer court giving 2 crores compensation. Do you remember that? That haircut example?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
You don't remember? I think I told you if I'm not wrong. So basically one model was there, she went somewhere for a haircut and hair treatment, but it was not done properly. She was not happy with services, so she filed a case in consumer court and she was given 2 crores compensation. So that may be that someone can do a research on that judicial decision. What might be the impact of that decision? Is it that service providers will be more careful that they are providing quality services? And is it also that consumers will be more open in approaching the consumer forums because they, like somehow they would feel that, okay, fine, like these bodies are actually doing some work. So is it that their confidence would, like they would have more confidence on these bodies? That might be a legal research that we can do. Okay, judicial decision as in whatever decision court has given, okay, on a certain decision, on a certain judgment, we might be doing a legal research. All right, like I think Manav, in your college, that those cases were discussed, right? Plessy versus Ferguson and all.
Yeah.
That can
Yes.
also be a research on it, right? That by reading those cases, you try to understand the, like history of this racial discrimination in USA. Nothing but you are doing a legal research over there. Okay, so that might be the third point. You are trying to understand what might be the impact of a new law or what might be the impact of a decision that court has given.
This protest which has happened, they were expecting this one when introducing this farmers law, correct?
Yeah,
the
yes.
Protest. So it was the consequences after introducing the new law. This was the consequences. So any researcher can do a research that after implementing this law, this kind of protest can happen. Like
Yes.
He can make a report.
Yeah, he can do that. That this might be the outcome. People might not be able to focus on their cultivation. People might, like farmers might be busy in protesting there. Someone may lose their life, this, that. Everything might be a legal research. Or they may say, what will happen if it is up? Like after that, like 2 years, 3 years back, what will happen? That also can be a research. Any area we can take up. Yeah, propound new legal concepts. Legal research may also help to propound new legal concepts. For example, the concept of absolute liability was developed by Honorable Supreme Court after doing necessary research and finding out strict liability principle is not serving the purpose. So what is strict liability?
Strict liability. I don't know the definition, but like I know the meaning.
Yeah, you can tell the meaning. I don't need definition.
No, like it's strict liability is like I think it's like in the case of compensation, we can say, or
yeah, compensation.
like people when pay compensation for the damages in the case of fault or something. Like
which case was it? Do you remember the case?
No, I don't remember the case. I think, but it's a case of I think it's relating to theft or robbery, I guess. I don't remember.
Not theft or robbery. How come? This is a principle from torts, right? Tort is a civil wrong. And theft or dacoity is crime, right? So it cannot be theft or dacoity. Yeah, compensation, you are right on that part. It is relating to compensation.
Yeah, if we talk about like strict liability, can we say selling drugs or alcohol to minors? It will fall under strict liability, I guess.
It's no, for that we have a separate legislation. Okay, usually for these drugs, alcohol, or any like all those like the materials which are harmful, for that we usually have a legislation. Okay, some cigarette act, some act, this act, that act, all the different sort of legislations we have. This is mainly applicable for like
like driving, causing accident, drunken driving, like that.
Not that also. It might be like I am keeping something in my premises for my own benefit, for my own use. It escapes from my premises and causes loss to you. Okay, so the case where this concept was developed was Rellins versus Fletcher. So one person was having like a mill. To run that mill, he needed electricity. For that, he wanted to store water in a very huge quantity. So he stored water, and water escaped to his neighbor's premises. And neighbor was also having mines business, so it caused him heavy loss. Neighbor filed a case against him that because water escaped from your premises, caused loss to me, you are strictly liable. Whether you were negligent or not does not matter, you are strictly liable. So court asked, yes, you need to pay compensation because you are strictly liable. But what happened, right? In this principle, certain exceptions were there, like act of God, third person's fault, the person is only guilty. 5 exceptions were there. So in India, Supreme Court realized that these kind of matters where something is escaping, some harmful gas is escaping, these matters are becoming very common. And when we have 5 exceptions, somehow or the other, parties were able to prove one of them and they will escape the liability. So basically, this principle was not serving any purpose. So because they realized that, they propounded new legal concept. Supreme Court of India developed a new concept altogether. They said, we are applying absolute liability, where person will be absolutely liable, no exceptions. We are not seeing whose fault, who was negligent, nothing. If from your house, water is escaping to your neighbor's house, you will be held liable no matter what. That means it is an entirely new legal concept that was developed. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So it can relate to any other matters also, where court may say, okay, fine, how to decide compensation for a certain case. Okay, like hit and run case, this case, that case. That formula for calculating compensation might also be a concept that they have developed. Same way it may apply. So this one is a good example that you can remember. From strict liability, they developed absolute liability. Next is analyze law and legal institutions from the point of view of history. As I said, law will keep on changing. So legal research may aim at analyzing a certain law or legal institution from the point of view of history. Such study clearly identifies the entire journey of that legal concept. Like I said, amendment of Constitution of India. It is one article, 368, but having such a long history with so many landmark cases. So if you do a research on that provision, that okay, fine, initially when Constitution of India was adopted, what was Article 368? What was the wording of Article 368? What was written inside that article? After that, what all cases happened? And at present, what is written in Article 368? That means you are studying this entire history of Article 368 from starting till date. That can again be a research which will help you understand the value of this doctrine of basic structure. Okay, like how, like how clever was that decision, Keswananda Bharati. How you will understand it? By studying this history of this entire article. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Examine the nature and scope of new law. So when a new law is introduced, we can, like this farm laws, right? People did so much of research. What all things are there? What it talks about? What it does not talk about? Everything was discussed. That means they are clearly understanding nature and scope of a new law, where and all it applies, whom and all it will be affecting, and all that stuff. Right? That is how farmers came to know that we are the one who will be majorly affected by this legislation, and they came forward to protest against them. How? Because of some research done by all the people around. They came to know what will be the impact of this new legislation. Next one is highlighting merits and demerits of legal concept. It may be like a very basic research that maybe students are doing. in their like college days, like when this death penalty thing, right, whether it is good or bad. For that, there may be a research done. Okay, I think when we were in LL.B, this Ajmal Kasab, you remember, Taj Hotel terrorist attack?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember? Yeah, he was given death penalty. Okay, and that time this topic was like so popular. Okay, and we were 100% confident that for sure there is going to be one question on positives and negatives of death penalty. That was the topic, like everywhere, positives and negatives of death penalty, whether it's some essay competition going on, some debating, this, that, everywhere. And we in fact had a question also on positives and negatives of death penalty. That means it also is nothing but like a research only, where you try to understand both the sides of a legal concept. Good sides also, bad sides also. Okay, so this is nothing but another objective that we may have. Next one is develop critical thinking. As a subject of study, legal research in academics aim at developing critical thinking ability among students. Today's students are going to be tomorrow's whether advocates, judges, policymakers, and whatnot. So developing critical thinking ability is very much important. That can also be an objective of legal research, because today you might be studying the goods and bads of a legislation, the outcome of a legislation and all that stuff. Tomorrow, you might actually be drafting a bill yourself. So when you have this critical thinking, you can criticize your own draft and you can make the changes yourself. So this can also be one of the objectives, that it develops critical thinking from the starting point only, so that whatever you are doing in future does not matter, it can be applied like a skill. And lastly, better interpretation of legal rules. So legal research can also play a significant role in better interpretation of existing rules or regulations. What is interpretation?
To conclude something.
To conclude something. Okay. Right. So to conclude something, to derive some meaning out of something, right? So it will also help us to better interpret existing laws, to properly understand some provision. Legal language may sometimes become a little complicated or too technical. So simplification of complex text is also one of the objectives of legal research. Okay, like if a new law is introduced, a layman may not be able to understand it properly. There, a legal research can help them. Okay, a person may study this entire legislation and provide the summary in a very basic layman language, so that anyone who wants, they can understand it. Okay, like when these farm bills were introduced, definitely all of us did not download the entire bill and go through the provisions. Rather, what we did, we read some articles here and there, we read some newspapers here and there, or watched some videos. And from there, we got the conclusion that, okay, these things are there in it. But we did not read the entire legislation. Still, we know what is there. That means it helps in better interpretation of legal rules. By doing a legal research, they try to sum up the entire thing. What is it that these farm bills are having? Okay, so this is nothing but again an objective of legal research. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
The point 5 again one more time.
Point 5. Yeah. So analyze law and legal institution from the point of view of history. That means we are not studying something like how it exists today, but how it existed in this entire time frame. Like if you remember, Constitution of India became applicable from 1950. Okay, so in the year 1950 also, Article 368 was there, which talks about amendment of Constitution. Even in 2021, that same article is there, Article 368. But in its wording, it has gone through some changes. Okay, the statement that you would see inside, it has gone through some changes. The heading that you see, it has gone through some changes. And it has not happened overnight. It is a result of a lot of landmark cases that Supreme Court decided. So there you can do a legal research to understand history of Article 368. In the year 1950, how it started, what idea drafters of Constitution had at that point in time. After that, when first case file, second, third, fourth, fifth, basic structure doctrine came, additions were made, all that is nothing but history. So you can do a legal research with the objective of understanding history of a certain provision of law. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Other points are clear, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, fine then. So we'll continue with some other topic tomorrow. Okay.
So explain the planning of an assignment writing. So yesterday you were saying, right, you also wrote assignment on obiter dicta. So how did you for assignment writing?
First, I went through the materials, resources, then I just saw and I just focused and I wrote it. That's all.
So where did you get the materials? Did you look for it or your teacher gave, or how did you get it?
No, I looked for the material, ma'am.
You looked for the material. Okay. So yeah, same thing happens here also. We will discuss that. First of all, you can give an introduction on what is assignment basically and why is it given. Right? So you can write that assignment is a task or piece of work. It may be one task also. In our school days, we were asked to make some make a forest, make a living room, make some things, right? Some things we were asked to make basically. So it can be one task also, like science assignment and all that stuff we get, right? Assignment is a task or a piece of work. Like in your case, you were asked to write on what is obiter dicta, right? So it was piece of work that you had to submit. Allocated one as part of a course of study. As part of your school, maybe class 8, class 9, you had to submit all those assignments. And now, a student of BA LL.B 5 years course, you will have to submit that assignment, right? You need to submit 5 assignments. After that, you become eligible to sit for your semester exam. That means assignment is a part of some course that you are studying, and as a result, you complete it. From the beginning of the learning process, students are given certain assignments. In school days, we were given some assignments. In pre-primary school also, we were given some assignment. In 10+2 also, we were given assignment. Now also in college or university, you are being assigned some work. To develop their critical thinking and analytical skill. Based on age of the student, assignments would be given. In our school days, simple assignments were given to us, right? Do some craft using some, like waste materials or something like that. So in order to develop critical thinking and analytical skill, in small age it was to develop analytical skill, now it is to develop critical thinking, right? When you for materials, maybe you had gone through 2-3 different books and you found that this book is the best one which I can refer. Material is the best one. How come you know that this is best? Because you have developed a critical thinking, right? When you are reading, you have this ability to judge whether it is a good book or not. So that critical thinking also you have developed by doing all these assignments, by reading all the uh, different things and stuff. So it will help in developing critical and analytical skill in mind of a student. In the initial that is elementary schooling part, the complexity level of such assignments remain very low. It is basically that students will be taught what are the different colors that we have. Just to make them familiar with different colors, some assignments may be given. Just to help them the tables, some assignment may be given. But as we grow old, level of assignment will also increase. Now they would expect thinking from you. They would ask for your opinion. If something is going on, they would ask for your opinion. What do you think about laws relating to COVID? Do we have enough laws to, like, uh, deal with this situation, present situation? All those are what nothing but critical thinking that is expected out of you. Why? Because you have now grown a little bit, and critical thinking is expected from you.
Okay, ma'am.
Level of such assignment will remain low in school, but student enters some college or university, then what happens is the assignments turn into more complicated and sophisticated thing where you need to give your own opinions, judgment, decision, and all that stuff. So you can write in intro what is an assignment. You need not write whatever I have written in your own words. Also, you can write what is an assignment, and that it will based on age and course that you have opted for. Then planning of an assignment. How do you actually plan the entire process? Assignments are more added as a part of evaluation process. In your case also, you have 20 marks in your assignments, and for remaining 8 need to appear for the exam. Right? So assignments are mostly added as part of evaluation process. It's not only for the namesake, but you get some marks in that, and that marks is finally added in your final mark sheet as well. Marks by a student in assignment is added in the final report card mostly. Same happens for you also. As a result, it is very important that assignments are taken seriously. You take that assignment because it has 20 marks. To be to score good and do justice to the given assignment, to be able to explain what is obiter dicta in a proper way, it is very important. You plan the entire process and proceed. Once, like one day before submission at night, you cannot just wake up and then start writing whatever you feel like. But you will have to entire thing. Like you told, you looked for books and then you decided which one to refer, and then finally you wrote it down. Right? So that same thing happens here also. So when you get one topic, right? Okay, fine. What are the steps involved in assignment writing, or what are the things that we should consider in writing answers in an exam? These are some things which you have done for all these years in your life, right? So you need to think about your own examples. What do you do when you get an assignment? What are the things that you take care of when you go to write an exam? And all those points only you can try to frame properly and then write. Okay, it is not like some different things. Whatever I have said, those are only different points that you need to take care of, right? These are like some theoretical question where you can apply your mind and frame your answer as well. After mentioning that it's very important that we plan the entire process and step by step we proceed, you can write that below mentioned are the most important steps of assignment writing. That means these steps we need to follow. What are these steps? First one is planning.
Madam, here in the you have given me another one, madam. Write an explanatory note on assignment writing.
I think there were two questions. Yeah, there was one question on explanatory note on assignment writing. Because it's question, they are not asking whether you need to write about steps or about benefits of assignment writing. You can write whatever you want. When they are specifically asking you what are the steps involved, there you need to steps.
Okay, just explain me, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'll just write it down.
Yeah.
The steps.
Yeah. So first one is planning. So you need to plan it. Why is planning important? Because you need to complete as well as submit the assignment within a prescribed period. You do not have 2-3 years, but within a given time frame, you need to submit it. Hence, entire work becomes very important. Planning will help to allocate time for data collection, research, analysis, and finally writing the assignment. Take for example, you got the assignment. Maybe tomorrow you have some function at your home. You cannot give any time. Day after tomorrow, maybe you will go to library, collect some books. After that, you will see what is relevant. Then you will write it down. Then you need to get printouts. All those things you need to take care of, right? You cannot complete it on Saturday and then Sunday all the printout shops are closed. You cannot do that. You need to plan it accordingly so that you have the printouts ready one day before and you can easily submit it. That is why we need planning, because we need to complete and submit it within the prescribed time frame. So we will plan the entire process and decide how much time we can give in what thing. Right? That is the first step. Next one is analyze the topic. Obviously, you cannot just randomly pick any topic and write on it. Topic will be assigned to you from the university or college. So it is very important to understand and be able to analyze the topic. When a topic is given to you, examiner is also expecting some specific things from you, right? So it's that you analyze the topic. If they have simply said write a note on assignment writing, you can write anything there. But if they have specifically said what are the steps involved in assignment writing, there you cannot skip writing the steps, right? So that is why it's very important to analyze the topic, knowing what is expected by the teacher and how to reach there is the main goal while analyzing the given topic. Here what we have, we know ki, okay fine, we need to write about steps involved. How we will reach that stage? We will first give one intro. Secondly, we will say what is assignment writing. Thirdly, we will come to this main point of steps involved in assignment writing. Right? So that is why you need to analyze the topic to understand what is it that they are expecting from you. Right? And accordingly, you can do it. How to reach there is the main goal while analyzing the topic, and you would finally know what is it that you need to for sure write there. Third step is designing the structure. Once you understand what is the question, what is it that they are expecting, you can design the structure or the skeleton of your assignment. After understanding the goal, you know that you need to write about steps involved in assignment writing and knowing how to reach there. You know that you need to write at least this much on steps. What you can do is you can prepare a structure of the assignment. You can decide that I will write one small intro. I will write on what is assignment writing, and then I will write the steps, and then finally I will put a conclusion and end the study. That means you prepare a skeleton of the assignment. Stage, the student will also finalize the mode of assignment writing, whether it is handwritten assignment, whether you need to take printouts, whether you need to add some pictures, charts, or what is it that you need to include, right? In school days and all, we need to decorate the assignment and everything. But now maybe you need to simply type the assignment and give it with your university or college logo, your name, your roll number, and other stuff. So you need to know what all things you need to put there, and you can accordingly design the basic structure. All right.
Okay.
Once you design the structure, you know what all things you need to write, you will find information. Once structure of the assignment is ready, you can do data collection and finding necessary information. So you need a book that explains what is assignment writing. You need a book that explains the steps involved in assignment writing. Maybe you need another book that gives examples of different steps. So that means you will look for all these different data or material, maybe online, maybe some books. You will collect all of that. That is nothing but finding information. For that, you can visit some websites, some online materials, whatever it is, you will do that. During this stage, the student can visit library, take help from peers. That means like your friends, right? Like you today, right? Your friend gave you a book. That is nothing but taking help from your friend. It may be some seniors whom you know. Seek guidance from the teacher itself or some mentor, right? You may ask your teacher only that, can you please tell me what is it? What do I need to write? Or maybe some other person also you can take help. So that is the fourth step, finding information. We need to collect the data. Fifth step is writing. Obviously, assignment, we need to write it, we need to design it, type it, whatever it is that we need to do. Once the necessary data is collected, you need to start with the actual task, that is writing. At this stage, the main aim should be to prepare a draft and all the necessary information like citation, reference, images, diagrams, tables, charts, etc. So you had to type out the assignment, or it was like handwritten for your case?
Handwritten.
Handwritten, okay. So in then what you will do, maybe you will mark that, okay, fine, this part I'm going to write for intro, this part I'm going to write. Maybe you can mark it in the book also or some materials. Okay, that is what you are collecting, everything that you need. Images, diagrams, this, that, everything. And finally, you prepared a copy, right? You just write down everything. That means writing is completed. After you are done with writing, what you will do is you will do editing and proofreading. What is editing? Reading? Maybe there are some here and there spelling mistakes, some grammatical mistakes. You will try to read the document. If some mistakes are there, maybe you will put whitener and correct it. If somewhere you need to underline something, you will underline it. Something you need to highlight, you will do that. Some margins you need to draw, that you will do that, right? So once draft is prepared, the student will take time, proofread the assignment and get all the necessary editing done. Here the main focus is, if you are typing it, your main focus would be that you are using the same font, numbering of the pages are there, checking for spelling, grammar, fixing alignment problems, etc. Right? Whatever you can do to make it more presentable, you would do all of that in the last stage of editing or proofreading. Okay, these are the six main steps that will be involved. And finally, you can just conclude saying that assignment writing is not just a task to be completed to fulfill academic requirement. Just because your college is asking you to write on obiter dicta, that should not be your only focus, that somehow I should be done with this. That should not be your main focus. It develops the student a lot and makes him or her better skilled to face the real world. It will develop of your skills, analytical skill, time management, this, that, many things it will develop. So whether an assignment carries marks or not, you should give your best and you should try to get the best out of it, right? Just because you had written that assignment on obiter dicta, now you can say very confidently that obiter dicta you need not explain, I already know it. How you know it? Just because you had given time at that point of time, right? So finally, you can conclude that whether it is having marks or not, we should be focused and properly we should write it. Okay. So is it
okay, ma'am? Clear, ma'am.
Yeah, simple steps you can remember. And if in exam hall you feel like I don't remember the steps, you can sit down aramse and think about what all steps you would follow. Obviously, you will plan, analyze this, that. These things will automatically come to you, and similarly, you can answer.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, just the thing is that you need to read the question properly. If they are asking about steps, you clearly write about steps. If they are maybe asking about what are the benefits of assignment writing, you need to slightly rephrase the answer and accordingly write. Right? That multiple get this, that, all of that. Okay. Explain the planning of an assignment writing. This also we have done.
Yes.
Working out problems in examination. There was this question, right? Unit 5.
Yes, ma'am. It's completed.
So we have not done this, I guess, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So working out problems in examination, you can start with one intro that examination is a vital part of any course. If you want a degree, if you want a diploma course or whatever you are going for, even for certificate course, you need to appear for an exam, only then you would be getting your certificate. So examination plays a vital part in any course based on the answer writing skill of the student. He or she is evaluated, right? Based on how well you do in your exams, you would accordingly get marks. Examinations may be of different types based on the course or maturity of the student. If it's some class 1, class 2 student, the examination pattern would also be such. If someone is appearing for boards, examination pattern would be different. Someone going in university, pattern would be different. So it would differ based on maturity of the student and also the course that you are opting for. OMR sheet question, objective type questions, short questions, essay type questions, problem solving questions are some of the most commonly used patterns in any exam. Right, so this part I have just copy pasted from your answer points to be noted in answer writing question. Right, so it is same only from there, it is same only. So these are different types of methods. One is problem solving question. Okay, that means you need to solve a given problem. In question paper, you will be given one problem. You need to give a solution to that problem. All right, that is also one type. And this pattern is followed by KSLU very widely. Okay, if you when you read other law subjects, right, like constitution, tort, contract, whatever it is, IPC, you will see they will give some 2-3 questions based on problem solving. All right, they will tell you that this is the situation, there was one person, this happened with him, that happened with him, what is the law, how will you give a decision, how will you solve it. So those are nothing but problem solving questions, and that you will be getting in your upcoming semesters also, right? So this question is based on that only. Working out problems in examination, it is based on your problem solving questions only, which are a part of examination, right? Your evaluation process. So you can give one simple intro on what is examination, different types of examination and all that stuff. Then you can mention working out problems. One of the methods of evaluation is working out problems in the examination. A student may be asked to solve a given problem, and based on the same, his or her understanding may be judged. Right? Just simply reading one provision, trying to by heart it and writing in exam, that is very simple. We all can do it. But whether we have understood the concept properly or not can be judged only when we are able to apply it in a real life situation. Right? We may read a different multiple laws, we can remember the provisions, but are we able to relate it and apply it in real life situation or not? That becomes very important, right? So this method is widely used as a way of evaluating students. A student may be asked to solve a given problem. They will say that this is the problem with this particular person. How will you solve it using Indian Contract Act, using Indian Penal Code, right? Accordingly, it will be given. In legal study, working out problem method works really well as students need to develop critical thinking. Being law students, we should try to develop critical thinking whereby we can understand the legislation properly. We will be in a position to apply it in a given situation, right? If some client comes to you tomorrow and says that this is the problem that I am facing with my tenant, I am the landlord, give me a solution. So if you have read the Karnataka Rent Act, you should be able to correlate the provisions and then give a solution, right? So this is how working out problem method helps a lot in terms of legal studies as well. All right, then you can give some examples. Examples of working out problems. A student may be given a real life situation and asked to arrive at a conclusion by applying a given law. For example, you may be given a situation that two persons made a contract. Okay, contract is what? Nothing but like a promise that we make. Okay, so two persons made a contract with each other and they agreed that I will be supplying you some books to you. But after formation of contract, one of the parties violated the contract. He broke his promise. In such a case, what solutions are available to the victim based on Indian Contract Act? So if you are asked a question like that, in answering this question, student will have to understand the problem first of all, that it is a wrong to violate a promise, right? If after making a contract you cannot just violate it, you will be legally bound for it. Then we will have to know about the applicable laws, that it is Indian Penal Code. Whatever sections are applicable, we should have an understanding on that, and we should be skilled enough to apply the same in that given situation, right? Based on the legal provisions, we should try to give a solution to that person. And this is how we will try to answer that particular question, okay? This may be an example of problem solving method. Then how working out problems help. We saw the example that this is how in question paper you would get a question. But how will it help a student in real life? That also we should see. The method of evaluation of students by working out problems method is especially helpful for law students as they are going to be future lawyers, judges, or lawmakers, right? So whoever is studying law today, they are going to be lawyers, judges, or maybe they will be the ones framing the laws. So being a lawyer, they will have to easily figure out the applicable laws in a given situation, right? For example, if COVID-19 is spreading rapidly and government has announced nationwide lockdown and quarantine rules, what laws will be applicable for violation of those rules? We should be able to understand that, right? That these are the provisions under IPC which will be applied in this given situation, right? So when we do these problem solving kind of questions, it will make us efficient to think about all the laws, and accordingly we can give a solution regarding that. So this is how lawyers will be benefited, right? If tomorrow a client comes to you and says that this is the problem I'm facing with my landlord or tenant, you will be able to give a solution very easily. Then similarly, for a judge, it is very much needed that they have logical thinking and the ability to see good and bad of giving a decision. We have seen, right, whatever decisions are given by a judge, that becomes binding. It's precedent, right? It becomes binding, subordinate courts should follow. So judges should be very careful while giving a decision, and they should always look at the positives and negatives of a decision, right? And to be able to see that or understand that, they need some skills which may be developed by this method, working out problems. All right, they can see both sides of a decision and accordingly will give it. What may be the possible impact of a judgment may be something that judges need to evaluate quite often, right? If every single day judges are giving 2-3 decisions, they will need to understand the positives and negatives. They need to quickly be able to understand it, right? And then give a decision. For a lawmaker or a legislator, it is very important to possess the skill of critical evaluation of rules. Before you frame a law, before you make it applicable in India, you should first of all analyze the positives and negatives of it, right? So that is how it is becoming very helpful. Like there was this case of demonetization, right? Few years back, if you remember. Many people came forward with criticisms that it was very bad, this, that. Why was it so? Because at the time of introducing it, they maybe did not invest much time in looking at positives and negatives of it, right? So that is why it becomes very important that whenever we are framing a law or any kind of rules we are making it applicable, we should see both the positives and negatives of it. All right, is this part clear how it will be helpful?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you can simply give one conclusion that working out problems as a mode of evaluation in college or university life will make students skilled enough to face the real world. Whatever profession you are going in, these will be of use, right? These skills that you develop, it will be of use. There are some skills which we will need in our life, whether today or tomorrow. Maybe as a student, today you do not need these skills, but tomorrow when you start working, these skills will help you a lot. Hence, it is always better to start developing these skills from an early age to be able to master them in the future, right? When you need those skills at that time, maybe you would not have that much of time to develop all these skills and stuff. So you should start developing it from your college life only, so that whenever needed, you are very much ready with it. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Next, you have some questions with regard to research, all right? I think one day we discussed some things, what is research or steps involved in a research, right? So there is another question called interview method in research. What is research? Study on a certain thing, right? Now, interview method. Method is how you are doing it, right? Writing may be a method. Spoken words may be a method. Similarly, interview may be a method of conducting research. What you will do there, you will go to people who are related to that topic. You will take their interviews, right? If you see some, like some documentaries would be there, right, on different concepts. Maybe there is a documentary on like child marriage, all right, or school dropout or something. What they will do is that they will go to people who are affected by that problem. They will try to interview them, right? If you see some documentary Discovery and all that stuff, you will see that inside the documentary only here and there they would put some interviews. So that is what interview method in research. That means you are taking interview of related people and thereby you are collecting information, right? What is happening, what is not happening, you are gathering information. So interview method in research, that with the help of interview mainly you do the entire research. So there was one question like this, how you will answer this? You can again provide one introduction, that an interview is what? It is a conversation for gathering information. So if there is a conversation between you and me, there will be a purpose of it, right? What is the purpose of our conversation? You want to understand legal method, right? Similarly, in case of this research, what will happen is there will be a conversation between those two people. What is the purpose? It is gathering information, right? They want to gather as much information as they can. That's the purpose. And because of that, there will be a conversation between those people. A research interview involves an interviewer. Obviously, there need to be a person who will ask questions, right? If I am trying to interview you, I will ask some questions to you, right? Why? Because I want to gather as much information as I can. And obviously, those information will be related to a certain aspect. So I will have to accordingly ask questions from this area only, right? So there will be one interviewer who will ask questions, who coordinates the process of conversation by asking questions, and interviewee who responds to those questions, right? So if you are the other person, you will answer to those questions. As a result, I will be able to collect information, right? Like before starting of our class, first day, one day, we discussed certain things, right? What was that? I was asking you where you are studying, which university, which college, when you have exam, how good are you in writing, this, that. Why I was asking those questions? Because I wanted to gather some information about you, right? So that I can accordingly proceed with the subject. So that is same thing happens here also, right? That they will ask some questions, other person will accordingly respond to those questions, and accordingly the person will be able to gather all the necessary information. All right. So like that, you can give an intro. Then what is interview method in research? An interview is generally a quantitative research technique which involves asking open-ended questions to converse with respondent and collect illicit data about a research, about a subject. The interviewer in most cases is the subject matter expert who intends to understand respondent opinions in a well-planned and executed series of questions and answers. That means when I am going to you, when I'm going to you, you will be an expert in that subject area, right? Take like in your case, you know what course you are studying, when you have exams, right? All that stuff you had. That means I will come to you, I will ask you questions. I will say if you have previous year question paper, share that with me. If you have syllabus, share that with me. Important questions, share that with me. Why? Because I wanted to gather the relevant informations, right? How I will gather that information? I will plan my questions that these are the things I want to ask, and these are the areas where I want to gather information. Accordingly, I will ask questions, you will respond, information will be collected, right? Now, types of interviews. What are the different types of interviews that we have, all right? Interviews can be designed differently depending on needs being answered and the information, right? So depending on what information I want to collect, I can go for different types of interviews. There are basically three types of interviews. First one is structured interview, semi-structured interview, and unstructured interview. What happens in structured interview? Interviewer asks a set of standard predetermined questions. All right, this is important. Predetermined questions about particular topic in a specific order. The respondent needs to select their answer from a list of options. All right, that means in structured interview, I will know that these 5 are the questions that I want to ask you. All right, maybe I will even give you options. Okay, do you have your exam this month, next year, or what, right? I can give you options also. I will decide that these are the questions that I want to ask you, and this is the sequence how I want to ask you, right? Maybe first I want to ask your name, from where do you reside, then college, university. There will be like a sequence. Accordingly, I will ask you whatever is planned, right? What is structured, basically I have designed it, right? That I have designed what all to be asked, how it is to be asked, right? Accordingly, I will ask those questions. So that is structured interview, where I have designed the entire thing. Accordingly, I will go to you, I will ask those questions, gather the information. Is it clear? Structured interview? From the name itself, it's clear, right? Structured, as if there will be a structure that I will prepare accordingly. I will go with it. Next is semi-structured interview. What happens here is that interviewer uses a set of predetermined questions and the respondents answer in their own words. That means you are not been given options. When you have exam this month, next year, you don't have options as such, but you can use your own words. Maybe you can say that, yes, this month only from 15th I have my exams. It starts from 9:30, ends at 12:30. That means you are using your own words, right? That means it is semi-structured interview, where I have designed the questions that, okay, fine, these are the things that I want to ask, but you have the option of using your own words and answering it accordingly. That is semi-structured, right? Answer and all, I have not given you options. You have the flexibility to answer it accordingly. Semi-structured interviews are useful when there is a need to collect in-depth information in a systematic manner from a number of respondents or interviewers. Here what happens, I just want to gather some basic information, all right? I'm not concerned whether you have your exams from 15th, 16th or when. I'm not concerned with that. I just want to know if it is in this month, next month, or next year. All right, that means just some basic information I want to gather. But here what happens, I want to gather in-depth information. I want to know that your exams are starting from 15th, and when is legal method, it's on 23rd. You don't have any gap before legal method. your exam is ending on 23rd. That means I want to gather in-depth information about it, right? So that is the reason why I have not given you options, but you are free to tell me whatever the thing is, right? Why? Because I want in-depth information. That is the reason why I have not framed the answers basically, right? You are free to answer it accordingly. And last one is unstructured interview. Here what happens, interviewer has no specific guidelines, restrictions or predetermined questions or list of options, right? What I will do is that few broad questions to engage the respondent in an open, informal and spontaneous discussion. That means I will have some rough idea. It's not that I will go blank and then I would just, I need some basic things to start a conversation, right? So maybe I will know that, yes, I want to ask you regarding your exams only. All right. I want to ask you regarding how good you are in memorizing things or how much speed you have in writing, right? So I will have a basic framework that these are the things on which I want to ask you questions, but I have not framed the questions as such. Right, so I'm not going blank before you that I do not know whether to ask about your exams or your writing skills or to ask how many members are there in your family, right? Because that is not relevant for me, how many members are there in your family. So I will know that this is the like broad area where I want to mainly focus, but I will not pre-frame the question or something, right? I'll go before you. Whatever comes next, we will just have like a very informal kind of a conversation. And there, whatever information I collect, I will accordingly use it for the purpose of research. So it is
Okay.
basically useful for getting the stories behind respondents' experience or when there is little information about a topic, right? Maybe you have topped your exam, all right? Like from KSLU, you are the topper for 5 years LL.B course. Okay, what I will do is that I'll just go to you. I wanted to listen to your story, right? How you managed to study for all these 5 years. That means I will not go and frame questions or something. I'll just sit with you and I'll ask you, okay, fine, tell me how it happened, what you did, that. Whatever you say, based on that, I will again frame some more questions, right? So accordingly, it will happen. That is unstructured. From the names, it's very clear, structured. Questions are framed, sequence is framed, options are also given. You just select from there. All right. In semi-structured, questions are framed, but options are free. Like I'm not giving any options. You use your own words and answer accordingly. In unstructured, I just know roughly that this is the area on which I want to ask you questions, but questions and all I have not pre-decided, right? It will be just an informal conversation between the two persons. Clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you watch some YouTube videos and all, sometimes you would get some survey. Rather than playing an ad, they would ask you some survey. Which shampoo brand you have seen in an online ad or something like that, right? So their options would be given. 4 options you need to select from there only. So that comes under structured interview.
Okay.
Basically applicable for surveys and all, right? Next, methods of research interview. There are 3 main methods to conduct research interview, each of which is peculiar in its application and can be used according to research study requirement. Now see, if there is like a 10-mark question on this particular topic, right? If there's a 10-mark question on this particular topic, interview method in research, you can write all of this. What is interview method, an introduction, a conclusion, 3 different types of research, and then 3 different methods of research. All right, research interviews. But if it's 6-mark question, you need not write that much detail. Maybe in one sentences you can write, right? What is unstructured, what is structured, what is semi-structured. So I have written in detail so that you can study it for 10 mark as well. Okay. So 3 different types of interviews, right? Interview research. But this is what method, that means way of interviewing, how you will interview the other person. All right, method means way of doing a certain thing. Okay, method of, what is your method of study, what is your method of remembering, right? Method means way. So method of research interview, how you can take someone's interview for the purpose of research. There are again 3 different methods that may be used. First is personal interviews or face-to-face. Second is telephonic interview. Third is online interviews, that is Skype, Google Hangout, email, web page, etc. Right? Maybe on a website, some questions are given. Sometimes you need to answer it. It will be a survey or things like that. So first one is personal interview or face-to-face interview, where what happens is questions are asked personally directly to the respondent. That means I will go and I will meet you in person. Face-to-face we will sit. I will ask you questions and you need to answer them. Right? That is what personal interview or face-to-face interview, where we both are at the same place face-to-face and then we are trying to gather the information. For this, a researcher can have a guide, online surveys to take note of the answer, right? So what I will do is that whatever you are answering, I will record those, I will write, take notes of that, or some other ways of storing that data. Right. Next one is telephonic interviews. Telephonic interviews are widely used and easy to combine with online to carry out research activity. They are usually very low in terms of cost and information can be collected very quickly. Right? Take for example, if you order something from Amazon and the delivery agent calls you, somehow you did not pick the call, okay, and it got cancelled, like we will try again to deliver next day. What will happen is immediately you will get a call from Amazon, right, asking whether actually you received a call from the delivery person. Delivery person actually tried reaching you or not. Why it is done? Because they want to do a survey, right, that whether their delivery people are working properly or not, right? So any other example you have seen of these kind of surveys? Telephonic interview?
Phone call, ma'am, to know
Phone.
the address of
Yes, right. If you buy something or some product or something, and then suddenly you stop, like take for example, you are buying something, like there is a shop, right? Licious, you know, right? There is an app to buy non-veg in Bangalore. If you, what happened is we were buying from there for a very long time, already a few months we were buying. Then when I moved to my hometown, they started calling me asking, is there an issue? Why you are not ordering these days? That is what, that's telephonic interview, right? They wanted to know if something went wrong, why this customer is not ordering again, right? That means it's a telephonic interview where very quickly with a very low cost they can gather the information, right? They don't need to come to my hometown and then interview me if anything is wrong or not, unlike this personal interview method, right? It's very quick and efficient. Next one is online interviews, where you may be used.
Zoom meeting. Zoom meeting and all, mama.
Yeah,
Zoom
Zoom
meeting,
meeting is
Skype, and
also online. Yeah, right. The first day that we discussed certain things, that was what? It was also like an online interview only, right? You wanted to gather some information about me. I wanted to gather some information about you, right? So that is an online interview where just why is it becoming so popular? Because more and more people are having access to internet these days, and by all these different websites, portals and all, it becomes very easy and convenient to gather information. Then you can give a conclusion that to summarize this discussion, an effective interview will be one that provides the researcher with necessary data to know the object of study and that this information is applicable to decisions to the decisions researcher makes, right? Whatever I wanted to gather, whatever questions I had, whatever information I have collected, it should answer those questions, right? So interview works out as a very good method of research or collecting information. All right. This is clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we will see these topics. Okay, explain the planning of an assignment writing. Now, when you talk about planning of an assignment writing, or maybe steps involved in a research, these are something which we can like relate with how we would proceed with a certain thing, right? That is the same process what we can write. So planning of an assignment writing. So what is assignment? It's nothing but a task or a piece of work that is allocated. It may be as a part of course of study, or it might be as a part of some other activities also, that some assignment or a task is being assigned. From beginning of the learning process, students are given certain assignments to develop critical and analytical skills. If we talk about legal education, there also assignments are given, right? Maybe that you do research on these kind of cases relating to contract by minor. What is it? It is in order to develop critical thinking, in order to develop research skills, etc. So there are lot many different purposes that assignment writing solves. In initial stages, that is in elementary school part, the complexity also would remain low. As we progress in college and then universities, the level of the complexity level would also increase, and the skills that it wants to develop, that also would be like more specific, right? That it wants to develop critical or analytical skills, it wants to develop your research abilities. All these things also would vary depending on at what stage the person is to whom assignment is given. Now, when we talk about the planning process of assignment writing, there would be a lot of different processes involved. First of all is the planning. Students need to complete and submit the assignment. Like there would always be a prescribed time frame within which we need to complete the assignment. Apart from the assignment, we might be having a lot many other things also. And to complete the assignment, there are a lot many different steps that we need to follow. So we need to have a proper planning to see how is it that we can complete it on time. Right? Even when we talk about our exams, once the timetable is out, we start planning that how is it that we can finish the course soon, right? Like one of you said that, okay, exam dates are out, so can we finish the course before 21st? What is that? It's nothing but part of your planning, right? You plan that, okay, if it's completed before 21st, then only I would get some time to maybe study and things like that. Same applies in case of assignment writing also. We would do the planning part. When is it? How is it? I need to complete a certain thing. Then analyzing the topic, whatever the topic is assigned or whatever the work is assigned in that particular assignment, we need to know that particular topic. Okay, so a basic understanding on the topic is also needed. How to do how to reach there, we need to know what are we expected to do and how is it that we would finally be able to achieve that, right? If there is something that, okay, we need to do research on these kind of cases, there might be we need to know what is the best way by which we can do that particular research, right? Maybe how is it that we need to submit it, what we need to do, all these things we need to know. Right, this is nothing but analyzing the topic. How is it that we would be able to cover this topic or complete this particular assignment that is being given? Then designing the structure. Once the topic is given, we know this is the assignment, we need to complete in this certain time frame. We need to design it. What is it that we are actually going to write in that particular assignment? How is it we are going to submit it? Is it handwritten, printed? Will it include pictures? Would it include some diagrams, some charts, some statistics? How is it that we are going to do it? We need to have a design structure so that in that same direction we can proceed. Then, however, we have designed the entire thing, we need to find relevant information in order to complete that particular assignment. And for that, data collection becomes very much important. There are different ways of data collection as well. You might interview someone, you can go and visit the field, you may go and visit an NGO, you may go and meet a people who has practical experience, you might read some books, do online research. So many different ways we have. So that is nothing but finding information. We would collect the information and we would maybe dump it in one place. So finding the information and collecting everything might be we have a lot of books and everything that we have collected from the library. Now is the time for writing because there is a lot of information, a lot more than what we require. So from there, we need to see what information is relevant for us, what is not relevant, what all things we need to add, what all things we need to skip, that we would see. And from the collected information, we would actually start rewriting it. We would start preparing the assignment. It may include citations, like we said, discussed yesterday, footnotes, reference, bibliography, images, diagrams, tables, charts, maybe list of content, maybe list of cases, list of statutes, whatever is relevant, all those things we would add. And finally, once everything is done, once it is written, we would do some bits of editing if required, and we would proofread it. If some mistakes are there, any kind of corrections, all these things we would do. Usually you would also see when these kind of assignments are given, they would also mention that this is the font size you need to use, this much of border, this much of margins you need to leave. All these things we would ensure at the last point that everything is done properly, page numbering and all are done properly. So that is the final stage where we see that we have fulfilled all the guidelines that were been given along with the assignment. Okay. Hey, before we continue, I wanted to inform you about my live mentorship program for LL.B students or law aspirants. Law subjects and law topics need detailed clarity. We get that with the help of cases, examples, and detailed explanation. It's definitely not possible to include everything in these short videos. If you find my videos easy to understand and you are looking for some professional help in preparing for your examination, you can join my live mentorship program. Here you will be getting exam tips, answer writing skills, detailed notes that you can refer for your examination, cases, examples, and in a very easy way topics will be explained. I have live classes going on for a lot of subjects as of now. To know more about it, you can drop me a message on this WhatsApp number. I'm also helping a lot of students in writing their assignments. If you need any such help or for any queries, any suggestions, you can drop me a message on this WhatsApp number. And now let's continue with our video.
Okay, so there is another question. What are the points to be noted while answering questions in the exam? So you have already appeared for so many exams in your life, right? I think you already have some idea with regard to that. So what are the points that you try to remember?
Means I have to prepare well and I have to go. And once enter and they will give us that sheet now, madam, all tickets, corrections and OMR sheet. I have to read the, they'll give the question paper, I have to, and the answer paper, answer sheet, and I have to read carefully, and I have to read the instructions. And then I have to write correctly and slow, correct, mention everything, all these things, ma'am.
Yeah. So when they say, right, what are the points to be noted while answering in the exam? That means it's not like there is like a Bible where everything is written and you need to follow step by step. It's not like that, right? We do not have one single document or like a rule book that we need to follow. There may be different steps that people feel are important in writing answers in the exam, right? But there are some points which are more or less similar or more or less common for any kind of exam that you are up. All right. Now, you need to read the question very carefully. They are mentioning in the exam. They are not specifying in your semester exam having subjective type questions or in an entrance exam having OMR sheet or anything like that. So your point should be general, including any kind of exam that students are appearing, right? So in your intro, maybe you can say that there are different types of exams that we are having. You can mention that examination is a vital part of any course that we are opting for, right? We need to answer in the exam, we need to appear for exams, and based on our answer writing skills only, we will be evaluated, right? We would get marks. Finally, it will be decided whether we get the degree or not, what percentage we get, what division we get, everything will be decided based on that only. Examinations may be of different types based on the course and maturity of the student. If you are studying law course, you are already like a university student, right? So what happens is you are considered to be more mature. Questions also would be framed in such a way. But when we compare you with a student of class 1, that student is not as mature as you are. So for them, question paper would be different. For a student who is maybe in primary schools, we would just be asked to recite a poem or sing a song or play something. Right? Why? Because it would differ based on the course that you are opting for and based on maturity of the student. Right? It's a professional course that you are going for. So questions also would be framed in that specific way only. Right? But it would be different with regard to those students. So you can give some examples of different types of exams that we see, like OMR sheet questions, objective type questions, short questions, essay type questions are some of the common patterns that we see in examination. Right? In OMR sheet, we just need to highlight the answers and then it would be scanned through some on the electronic machine and then results would be out. Objective type questions, we just need to answer in 1 or 2 words, or maybe we need to select the correct multiple choice, right? We need to select the correct option. Then there may be short questions, maybe 2 mark, 5 marks questions may be there, or essay type questions like you have in your KSLU pattern, 10-mark question, 6-mark question, or 5-mark question, right? Those are what different types of examinations may be there based on the course that you are opting for or based on what exam you are appearing. In case of entrance exam and all, mostly it's OMR sheet questions only. Right? Interviews and all also first level would be OMR sheet. Then they may ask for essay type. So there would be different types that we have. After giving the intro, you can start with points to be noted. The strategy to do well in exam may vary depending on question type and pattern in the exam. What strategy you will follow for like entrance examination of engineering or medical, that will be completely different from what strategy you are applying for semester examinations in your LL.B course. Why? Because patterns are different, syllabus is different, so you need to, your strategy also should be different accordingly. Right? So are you from arts background, science background? What is it for your 12? Arts, right? So that time you must have seen we had questions like 2 marks, 5 marks, short questions we used to have, right? 10 plus 2.
So 15 years back, madam, I have seen.
Yeah, definitely that will happen. So it would depend largely on the exam that you are appearing for and the pattern and all that stuff. So you can mention that below mentioned are a few points that students need to remember in writing exams. That means we are not specifying it that these are for law students only, for engineering students only, for English honor students only or something like that. These are some common things that everyone should take care of. First of all, instructions carefully. Like you already told, we would read the instructions. In your KSLU question paper, you would see first they would write examination name, year, then subject and everything. Then there will be some instructions that are given. Right? That from 10-mark questions, you need to attempt 5 questions. From 6-mark questions, you need to attempt any 5 questions. That is what? That's a general instruction that is given with regard to answering your question paper, right? So you need to read those instructions very carefully. Otherwise, you may just start attempting and lastly you see that, oh, I have attempted 6 10-mark questions and 4, like 6-mark questions. That's not how you were expected to do. They have mentioned it very carefully. So you need to go through those instructions properly and follow it. All right. You can write that general instructions, if any. That means if general instructions are there, you read that. If not, that's completely fine. You can go ahead with the question. These instructions will make it clear whether all the given questions are compulsory or not. In KSLU question paper, there will be like around 20, 30 questions. All of those are not compulsory. You need to attempt only few of those. You need to read accordingly and also write combinations of questions to be answered. That means from question number 1A and B would be there. From there, you answer any one. Then again, 2 would be there, right? What is the right combination of answers to questions to be answered? That also you would get a clarity. This is clear, right? Read instructions.
Clear, ma'am.
Okay. Time management. So time management is very important. Why? Because you just have 3 hours of time where you need to read the question paper, get your answer sheet signed by the a person who is there. Then you need to write all the answers, everything you need to do within a given specified time of 3 hours. Right? So time management is very important where students need to answer the entire question paper in the given time limit. That is why it's very important for them that they develop time management skills. How you will do that? Before going to exam hall only, we can calculate the timing because we already know we have 3 hours of time and exam will be of 80 marks. What we can do is we can divide this 3 hours of time by 80, right? That how many minutes we can invest for 1 mark, and accordingly we can plan for it. How many minutes we can invest in writing one answer. So before going to exam hall only, we can decide everything so that it becomes very easy for us to figure out how much we need to write in how many minutes, right? If you say, okay, fine, I can invest hardly 15 or 20 minutes for writing a 10-mark question. So that thing will be in your mind and you would be able to write very fast, right? So time management is very important skill that we should develop, and maybe we should plan everything beforehand only, right? Before going to exam hall, we would prepare it. Next is read the questions carefully. Whatever questions are there in the paper, we need to read it very carefully. Why is it important?
Because while reading, madam, I can see which one is which I can write, and which one I can, which I studied and which it will come to me, no, madam, like that.
Yeah. So you would know that, okay, fine, this question I know, this is what I can answer, and accordingly you can decide what all questions you have prepared best, what all questions you should be answering, and what all you can skip, right? Also, it becomes important because of one more reason, that take for example, you have studied what are the steps involved in research. In question paper, the question is what are the steps involved in legal research. If you do not read the question properly, straight away you start writing the answer. You may write about research, but the question was legal research, right? So it's very important that you read the entire question at least 2-3 times so that you write it properly, right? While writing your answer, also maybe once you can refer the question so that you know that you have answered every single part that is there in the question. Next is choosing best question. That means there may be a question where there are 2 or 3 different parts. You may see a question, okay, what is this question? What is interpretation? What are the principles of interpretation? By writing the first sentence, what is interpretation, you may feel like, oh, I know this question, I will answer it. But later when you decide to answer it, you know that, oh, I know what is interpretation of statute, but I do not know what are the principles of interpretation. That means it's the best question that you would go for answering, right? So you need to choose the best question where you know the entire question and not just part of it. Why? Because you need to answer the entire thing, whatever is there, right? So you can read the entire question and decide whether you know it or not. Next is decide on question order. So what is question order?
Question order means section A, section B, number 1, number 2, number 3, madam.
Yes.
Hello?
So in your
Okay,
exam, you will have, yeah, right, 5 questions that you need to answer for 10 marks, 5 questions that you need to answer for 6 marks. But it's not needed that you need to answer question number 1 first, then only question number 2 or anything like that. You can answer it any order that you like, right? You can answer the last one, then you can answer like any random question, you can simply pick an answer. Right? So you need to decide your order of answering the question. Maybe some students are there who feel it more easy that they first start answering whatever they know the best. All right. If I have prepared 2 questions very properly, I would write those 2 questions first. Then I would write whatever I know little. Then lastly, I would write where I do not know anything. Simply, I'm attempting the question. There may be some people who would try to write whatever they do not know first, and then lastly, with peace, they would write the questions that they have properly prepared. That means different students may have different orders in which they want to answer it. So you need to decide your order of answering the question. So how do you like answering? Do you answer the ones that you know first or the other ways?
Once I know, madam, what I know, I write it down. Then finally, I go for whether the last questions which I don't know. Simply, I just try my level best.
Yes, right. So that is most common for all the students. Even I used to do that. But there are some students who try to attempt the ones where they do not know anything. They would feel like, okay, fine, let this question be answered. Then I can, with peace, deal with the rest of it. Okay, so there may be different type of students. So you can decide that, yes, I am going to write whatever I know best, and then accordingly I would proceed. So you need to decide your order also before going to exam hall. Structure your answer. What is structure your answer?
Means when structuring the answer means, madam, a point should be cut and clear, and the examiner should while seeing the points or structure, he has to understand. Oh, this fellow knows something.
Yes.
Correct, madam?
Yeah. This fellow knows something, huh? Good. So you need to answer your questions properly so that examiner feels like, yes, this fellow knows something, we should give marks, right? So accordingly, you should answer it. Like a newspaper, you cannot simply write everything in one single paragraph, right? If they are, like you would see here, right? We are writing the answers in a proper structure, right? If they are asking what are the points to be noted while answering in exam, we are giving one intro. Then we are giving another separate heading, points to be noted. Under that point wise, we are again giving headings, right? And finally, we are giving conclusion. That means we are writing in a structure, right? Everything is not there in a single paragraph. When the examiner opens your answer sheet, they would also know, okay, fine, this fellow knows 8 points, right? 8 points to be answered, taken into care, right? Yes, that is very correct. The person would also feel, yes, you have written all these things. Accordingly, your answer paper would be evaluated. You would accordingly get marks, right? So that is very true that you need to structure the answer properly. When you read the question, you decide in your mind that this is how I'm going to write. These are the 5 different things that will be there, and inside that you start writing. right? So yeah, that is proper, that you need to structure your answer. You cannot just simply start writing whatever comes to your mind. Attempt all the questions. What is that?
Means what attempt means madam, see, they have told out of 10 you have to write the 5 questions. Out of 10 you have to go for the questions. Whether whatever you know, write it down everything. Then you have to attempt. You cannot leave one and you cannot write one. Correct, madam?
Yes.
Section A, you know everything in section A. You don't know section B, but you have to go for everything.
Yeah. So sometimes while writing answers, a student may feel like there is a lot to answer and very little time left. In such cases, there is no need to panic. Rather, briefly touching all the questions will help the student pick up a few marks. Because in subject type question, no matter how nicely, how neatly, how properly you are writing one question, no one is going to give you 10 out of 10. You would hardly get 8 or 8.5 maximum, right? So there is no point that you invest 1 hour in writing one question. Like there is no point investing 45 minutes in 4 questions and answering that only those 4 questions. That would not make sense. Why? Because you are anyways not going to get full marks. You are not going to get 40-50 marks out of that. So it is very important that you write all the answers, you briefly on all the questions, so that you at least get some 1-2 marks, even in questions where you do not have any idea. You simply attempted that, you would get some marks at least, right? So it's very important to attempt all the questions. Yeah. Last is revise. What is that?
Means once you are done, madam, you have to check whether I have written the question number or the answer is right. If I highlighted anything, all those things, madam.
Yes. So you cannot revise as in you cannot read the entire answer sheet, but what you can do is that you can see whether you have attempted 5-10 mark questions or not, 6 mark questions or not, right? Because you are in so much hurry, sometimes it may happen that you skipped one question. So that should not happen. That is why you need to revise. And also you need to see if you have marked the questions properly or not. If there are some important points, maybe a point wise you have written, some headings you have given. If you have time, you can highlight that also, right? So that examiner again knows this fellow has written properly, right? 8 points he has written, I should give at least 7-8 marks, right? So maybe you can highlight the important points, whatever headings are there. If you are giving some clause and all that part, you can highlight, right? So that it makes your answer sheet look more presentable, organized, and very nice also, right? When they open the answer sheet only, they would come to know, yeah, you have written very nicely. These are the main things which you have covered, right? They don't need to, like if everything is written in one big paragraph, we don't feel like reading it also, right? Same happens for examiner also. They are checking 10-15 copies one day, means it should be very nice, neat, with clean handwriting, right? So that they also feel like reading it. So these are the basic points which we should remember while answering questions in exam. Then you can give one conclusion that answer writing is an important skill that students develop with experience. However, keeping these basic guiding points in mind will help them reduce their chances of mistake and secure better marks in exam. So what is that you develop with experience?
Sorry, ma'am?
What is this sentence? Like answer writing skill you develop with experience. What kind of experience?
Means how to answer in exam, madam, correctly?
Yeah. So we develop it with experience. Maybe in our school days, we used to go, if we feel like answering, we would answer. If not, we would simply leave. Right? We will say, my hand was paining, I cannot write. I did not like the question paper, I would not write. I was feeling hungry, I just came home. We used to give such kind of excuses. But now, no matter what, we somehow try to answer everything. Why? Because with experience we have learned that it's for our good only that we are appearing for the exams, right? We are not doing some favor to anyone else by appearing the exams. So that is how with experience we have developed answer writing skills also, right? We know ki, okay, fine, I cannot give 45 minutes in writing one 10-mark question. Otherwise, by end of 2 hours, I will have to like write everything in hurry. I would have shortage of time. All those things, how we have learned it with experience only, right? We have appeared for so many exams. Some things we learned in every exam, and now we know that these are the basic things that we need to take care, right? So these points will help them to reduce the chances of mistake and secure better marks in exam, rather than we making the mistakes and learning from it. We can remember all these points and try to follow them so that we can do well in exam. Is it clear?
Clear, man, clear.
Clear. Footnotes ever?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, footnotes you have seen, right? Footnotes. Again, what is footnote? Footnote is related to research, right? So we can, in our intro, we can write about research. Basically, when there is a question, right, you can see what is it that this question is related to. If they are asking footnote, footnote is related to research, right? So in intro, write something about research, and then next heading we can write what is footnote, why is it used, and all that stuff, and then accordingly we can proceed with the answer. Right here, footnotes are related to research, so in our intro we can write about research, that research or a study on anything involves literature review. I cannot simply wake up and then start writing on a certain thing. I will have to read what other people have already written, some books, online materials, and other stuff I would read. That is nothing but literature review. That means some books, articles, newspaper, this, that, whatever literature is available, I would review it. I would go through it, right? So that is a major step which is involved in a research. So research or study on anything involves literature review, where I will try to read all the different, like books or materials which are available on that specific topic, on which, like I'm studying, right? So it involves literature review. Here, a researcher mainly tries to read the existing documents or materials on the topic of study. If I want to study on obiter dicta, I would try to look for articles on that topic. I would try to read books where this topic is mentioned. Why I will do that? I will do that to get some idea on how to go about the study. To get an idea how I can write a good assignment, how I can prepare a good assignment on this particular topic, right? For that, I would study. However, copying someone else's work or taking references without giving due credit is considered to be unethical. I cannot simply copy what someone else has written. I need to acknowledge. I need to give credit to that person only. And otherwise it will be called as plagiarism. This part I think is same with citation, that I need to give credit to the other person, right? If I'm copying something or taking a reference from someone. So that thing we can mention, that why is it needed that we give footnote? It is because we don't want to make it unethical. We don't want to commit the wrong of plagiarism, but we want to acknowledge that we have taken help from someone else. So that is the reason why we use footnote basically, right? Now, what are footnotes? So you said you have seen footnotes. So what all things are there in a footnote? How basically footnotes are?
Footnotes means there will be one line, madam, and in the bracket they have written this book name or a book of the name. Or sometimes in the down they will put some star 1, 2, 3. The 1, 2, 3 will be in the end of the page. end of the page there will be written about the book name. So this is what I have seen the footnotes.
Yeah. So if you consider like a human body, foot is the last part that we have, right? At the bottom of our foot. So same in a page, at the bottom part, at the last part, we have a note. That is why it is called as footnote. At last, we have that we can read and refer, right? That is nothing but footnote. So sometimes, what is footnote? We can explain basically. Sometimes, while reading a book or an article, we come across little numbers placed at the end of some sentences. There would be little numbers that will be there, and these numbers usually appear as superscripts. So we use this superscript option. Superscript option, and that number will appear and correspond with numbers placed at bottom of the page. Similarly, if here we are writing 1, there is 2, 3. In the same page at the bottom there will be 3 notes, 1, 2 and 3. So 1 note refers to this one, 2 is this one, 3 is the other one. So accordingly it will be there. Next to which appears further information that is both necessary and supplementary. It may be some information which is very necessary, or it may be some information that if you want you can refer. Alright, it is like a supplementary information. Some additional information that are being given. Sometimes this information will come in the form of citations, but sometimes it will simply present additional notes about the topic at hand. So sometimes what we do is citation. That means we refer that this particular topic or this particular paragraph we are taking from this book of another person, right? So here I can put like a citation. I would just go to insert and then I can put like a footnote, right? If I have taken this particular paragraph from some book, I can add like a footnote, right? Footer. I think in references we have. So there we can add it like a footnote, right? See, insert citation. Similarly, we have footnotes also. Insert footnote. When I click here, see, immediately it comes number 1. Here I can write book on so and so. Name of author also I can write, right? So this is nothing but a footnote. What happens? I give an additional information, and when we see here, see this is 1. It is superscript, right? That means this 1 will represent another book. So this is nothing but footnote.
Footnote.
Yeah. So usually this number appears next to, so sometimes this information will come in the form of citation where I am telling the readers that this part I have taken from this particular book or article which I was reading. But sometimes it will give additional information or some additional note. If you are reading some magazine or some journals, right, you would see sometimes what will happen is, take for example, if I have written this particular answer, right, below that my name will be there. Okay, so it will be written as Meenakshi. Now, who is Meenakshi? Right? The readers may want to know. So there will be a footnote given. And then it will be written that who am I, where I am working, where I am studying, right? Those information will be written. That means footnote is given to acknowledge somebody else's work also, or it may contain some additional details or information also, right? My email ID, my contact details may be there, so that if anyone wants to connect with me, they can do that by that information. Sometimes it will be written that, take for example, I am writing on like some apps that are being used in India, and I have said that TikTok is banned in India. But when was it? Why was it banned? By which notification was it banned? Those details I can give in footnotes, so that if anyone is interested, they can go through that notification, that they can read that details. Right? So it can have additional information, or it may be like citation, someone else's work. I'm just acknowledging that yes, I have taken help from that person. Right? In both the ways we can use footnote. Clear, right, this part?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. Now there are some examples of footnote wherein all we use footnotes. This basically. Some journals or books mention name of the author and give a numbering after that. Like I showed you, right? It would be written as Minakshi on top of my name, number. What they will do is that this number is nothing but a footnote where details of the author like profession, designation, contact details, etc. may be found. Right? Whatever details are there regarding the author, those details will be given there. This is the most common way of using footnote. You would see this in many journals and all that are there. Secondly, so first one is details about author. For that we use footnote. So whatever is made like bold, right? That is the main thing. Details about author is an example of footnote. Secondly, a footnote may be given to maintain an additional to mention an additional comment. For example, while commenting on a book that this book is banned in India, that TikTok is banned in India, what we will do is the author may place a number after that book name. That number will be nothing but a footnote wherein the author may give details regarding when the book was banned and why. Why was TikTok banned? When was it banned? By which notification was it banned? All the details I may give there in the footnote. So it may be details about the author or it may be like an additional comment also which I am making there. Okay?
Okay.
Next one is while reading a statute or a legislation. That means I am reading a legislation or an act. At that time, often we come across footnotes. Sometimes these footnotes indicate the date when some amendment was made to the statute and the concerned provision was inserted. If we are going through like a legislation, sometimes constitution. Take for example, this is mostly common with regard to constitution. Right? If we are going through a legislation, sometimes we will come across footnotes which are given in that legislation. Now, what are these footnotes? If you see under constitution, right, we have many provisions. Take for example, there is
Constitution, yes, Act 19, Acts 2019.
Yeah, so these are what inserted by Constitution 103rd Amendment. That means it was by way of an amendment that this provision was inserted. 97th Amendment, 44th Amendment. That means in which year this particular provision was inserted. Right? So take example, this entire part is as 5, it is inserted, right? This is 6. All those provisions are inserted by which amendment, in which year, right? That information also we may get. That means when reading a statute or a legislation, we may get information regarding some amendment that took place with regard to that legislation and some provisions were added. Right? That is the third example of a footnote. Fourth one is to cite someone else's work. Right? We have already discussed. Right? If I am writing something, it's not like I just started writing it on my own. I would refer to someone else's work. Those work I may cite also. So these are the 4 main or like common examples of using a footnote. Details of the author, designation, what work that person is doing, where the person is working, contact details and other stuff. Additional comment, I am telling you when this book was banned or when TikTok was banned, why was it banned, by which notification, or it may be some information regarding some amendment that took place regarding a statute or legislation, or to cite somebody else's work, right? That I have written this answer, but while writing this answer, I have taken reference from these 10 different books. I can give reference to all of those, right? So these are the 4 most common ways of using a footnote. Clear, right? This part?
Clear, ma'am.
Simply you remember these things, whatever is in bold. Okay. Next is different methods of citation. Now we know what is a citation, why we use it. So after that we have different like methods of citation. How do we like use citations or like footnotes, right? So there are different methods of using footnote. To make uniformity in the style of adding footnote, there are some specific style guides that are followed by researcher. There can be book which is being published, but there are 20 different authors who have written one articles there. There can be one magazine or a journal where 20 different authors have written articles. Now, I may give the details in a certain way. You may write it in your own way. Another author may write it in their own way. When a person is actually reading that particular journal, right, that person may get very like confused, right? I may write author's name, then book name, then year, this, that. You may write author's name, then page number, this, that. We may have different ways of writing it, and it will be very complicated and messy. As a result, what happens? To maintain uniformity in style of adding footnotes, there are some specific style guides that are being given. Right? So when some universities would suggest that we are only following this particular style of footnoting. Some journals say that you need to give footnotes in this specific style only, and we should abide by that. Right? So that is why we have different methods of footnote just in order to maintain uniformity with regard to what style we are following. Usually, a journal publisher of a book or university will clearly specify the footnoting style that should be followed by the researcher in submitting the work. I cannot randomly put notes or randomly cite others' work, but it has to be in a certain style and certain order. It will be author's name, comma, book name, comma, page number, year, this, that, it will be mentioned basically everything. I need to do it accordingly. This helps to ensure that different authors of the journal or book are following the same footnoting style and there is uniformity throughout the book. When a reader is reading all those 20 different articles, it becomes very easy for the reader to understand, okay, fine, this is the book, this is the author, this is the page number. I don't need to go through a lot of things or stuff like that. It will be very clear when I know what style is being followed. Some of the most commonly used footnoting styles are MLA, APA, CMS. You can simply remember these abbreviations because that is what is used. Okay, no one says Modern Language Association, MLA, APA, CMS like that only used. You can similarly remember. Okay.
MLA, CMS.
Yeah, MLA to we anyways remember, right? Like in MLA, remember APA and CMS. That's all. Then, with a conclusion, we can end that research work or scholarly work published by a writer is often referred by other prospective researcher. If I have already done a study on acid attack, tomorrow if you are planning to do a same study on acid attack, maybe you would refer my work also. You would read my article. What have I written? You may refer that. That is the reason why footnoting becomes important. Why? Because when you are reading my article, you will not simply read my article. You will read the footnotes also and you will know that, okay, these are 5 different good books that maybe I can refer. Right? So that is the reason why footnotes become so important, because when reading my article, if you write like one paragraph from there, you can see from which book I have taken help in writing that paragraph. Similarly, you can refer that book. Why? Because it may be relevant for you. So that is why we need footnote. Thus, following a proper and uniform footnoting style will save time of the reader in understanding the source that are being cited. Right? Like footnote basically is used so that people know about the citations that we have given. So when it serves the purpose, it is of use, right? I only for the namesake I should not give. It should be of use to other people also. So that is the main reason why we give. Basically, in conclusion, we are just giving our opinion or concluding the entire thing which we have discussed, right? So you can simply write like that. So here, only thing that we need to remember is different modes of methods of citation, MLA, APA, and CMS. Then 4 different examples giving details about author, additional comment, statute or legislation regarding amendment, citing someone else's. It's very simple. And then what is footnote? You have already seen. You can simply explain. There will be short numbers and all that stuff. So I think this is.